Does look like we are having a few sound issues right there with the guys as they are live over at Scholz Beer Garden. Hang on one second here. There's a better camera for me. Double R Rodney Rodriguez back at the home base, kind of monitoring the studio here as we get set for Texas game day. The guys will dive back in as they are there, but this is finally what we've been waiting for. It's been all the buildup that we've been going back and forth, and we've broken this game down and we've broken this team down as many different ways as we can, and it's finally here coming up in just over, what are we, just over 2 hours. It's going to be kickoff time at the stadium as the Texas Longhorns get set to embark on a huge season of expectations, taking on Colorado State as Jay Norvell and that group make their way into Austin to get this 2024 season kicked off. And once we get the guys back on, they will be live right there from Scholz, and they will break this game down every different way. So lots of different angles to look at what we're going to be looking for today. I talked about the expectations that we've been mentioning so many different times. And of course, one of those being that what's going to happen, with the running back room. We've already had Texas already with a couple of injuries there. But we talk about depth, and I think that that's one of the things that we have heard from Steve Sarkeesian throughout the season or throughout the week here, is that that's one thing that he is looking to do this week, is to get some of that depth, maybe beyond that starting 22 that we are planning to see. And you will get to hopefully see some of those other factors, some of those other players that are probably going to have to contribute at some point this season into the ball game. So let's head back out to Scholz Garten right there at the San Grande Hall, one of the most iconic places in downtown Austin. Of course, lots of pregame festivities have happened there during the year or over the years out there. Let's go back to Bucky and BK. Guys, you got me.
We got you. You got us.
I got you, brother. You guys sound good. It sounds like a festive atmosphere going out there. So looks like you guys are good to go. So I'm going to dive back in here and watch scores, and you guys just holler if you need me.
All right, you're the man.
Rodney.
Thank you for holding it down, Double R. And hey, it's been a long time since Texas football has played a game. It's been a long time since you and I have done a pregame show.
Absolutely.
So we're working out the kinks, but we think we're good to go live on YouTube and live on the free Texas Sports Unfiltered app. We appreciate y'all bearing with us for a few moments as we got everything settled. If you missed the start of the show, we are broadcasting live from the historic, legendary, iconic, whatever word you want to use to describe it, Scholz Garten, just a 5-minute walk away from DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. Buck, you got here around 10:30 this morning.
Yes, I was making the deliveries for 34 Wine and Spirits this morning. I want to thank Bucky BK and 34 Wine and Spirits for being our pregame sponsor here today, as they will throughout the remainder of the football season. But I was doing a delivery this morning to Scholz's Beer Garden.
You?
So, yes, delivery. I had one responsibility to bring one case of this alcohol to Scholz's, and I got it done early.
The sober guy is doing alcohol deliveries?
Yes, I am. That's the responsible guy.
Sounds like the start of a bad joke right there.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good time to be here. Looks like a lot of folks from Colorado State showed up today, too.
I didn't realize they had fans.
They've got tons of fans.
I didn't know Colorado State was a thing. I thought they were so butthurt after Texas beat them in the NCAA tournament. I didn't think they were going to be willing to show their faces out here.
Well, they wanted to get to Austin, and it's good to see them here in Austin.
They want to watch their team lose to Texas twice in the same year.
Wow.
Right? 2 different sports, twice in 1 year. That's very nice. They're going to support our economy. They're paying for hotels down here. They're paying for our restaurants. They're buying beer at Scholz Garten. And they came all this way to watch their team lose. That's great.
Yeah, this will be a fun atmosphere for those folks from Colorado State. They're going to really enjoy this city, bring a lot of money into the city, and then leave, like most should.
And then leave. No,
and then leave.
In all seriousness, a lot of green walking around DKR today.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the CSU fans who made the trek down to Austin. But, of course, for as much green there's a lot more burnt orange and white. Man, we both got here around 10:30. This place was already packed by the time we walked in. Just walking around downtown Austin, there's nothing but burnt orange and white and Longhorn shirts and hats everywhere you go. People are excited, Buck. And look, you've been covering the team for a long time. This is my 12th year covering Texas football. In my time covering the Horns, there has never been this much excitement going into the start of a season. With everything that happened last year, Texas winning the Big 12, Texas making it to the college football playoff for the first time. And, of course, with the move to the SEC on top of all of that, the buzz is palpable. In my time covering this team, there's never been anything like it.
Well, just on the ride in this morning, you could just feel it. You could feel the atmosphere. The traffic was up. I mean, there's enough traffic generally here on a Saturday morning, but this morning there was that extra buzz of folks trying to get over towards the stadium and try to get towards this area, downtown, trying to find their spots, trying to get into DKR, tailgating, Scholz's Beer Garden. It's just a blast. It's going to be a special day. It should be a special season. Should be a special college football season this year.
Absolutely. High expectations for Texas, the preseason number 4 team in college football. We're going to tell you everything you need to know about this Texas-Colorado State game. We'll also give you scoreboard updates from the action going around the country. We'll have our offensive and defensive player of the game predictions. We'll give you some X factors today. And, of course, to wrap things up like we always do, we will give our game score predictions right here on the official pregame show of Texas Sports Unfiltered. And as you mentioned, everything is brought to you by our friends at Covert BK and 34 Wine and Spirits. So, Buck, year 4 of the Steve Sarkeesian era, undoubtedly coming off of his best season as the head coach at Texas, 12-2. Of course, the first ever college football playoff appearance for Texas. The Longhorns winning their last ever Big 12 championship. Sark is back. Quinn Ewers is back for year 3. A lot of returning talent, but also a lot of new faces as Texas has to replace 11 draft picks who went off to the NFL. Just your overall all-encompassing thoughts on where you think the Longhorns are going to be this season.
Well, I think it's one of those deals going into year 4. How do you make it better? You know, you're going to lose 11 players to the NFL, but how do you make this football team better than it was last year? You lose key players on the defense. You lose unbelievable players, especially at the skill positions on offense. But how do you make it better? Well, you make it better with depth. You make it better with recruiting. And for Steve Sarkeesian, this is his 4th year. Recruiting has been fantastic. So you've grown some depth here, but you've also grown some experience in playing in big games. So they played in tons of big games last year. I mean, they got down to the nitty-gritty where they had to use a backup quarterback for 2 games, and it was a playoff-type atmosphere right there. So this team has been in big-time games. It's been in big-time games. It's been in big-time situations. So it's all about the depth. How do you make this team better than last year? Will this team be better than it was last year? Yeah. How can it be better than it was last year?
Texas was so close they could taste it. They were 2 wins away from their first national championship since 2005, and plenty of reasons for optimism to believe that Texas can get back on top of the college football world. We've got plenty of sound from Steve Sarkeesian talking about this game in particular and talking about the entirety of this 2024 Texas season. But I want to go back to something Steve Sarkeesian said early in the offseason, Buck. He was asked about the goals for this Texas program moving forward. Once again, coming off the best year the Longhorns have had since 2009. How do you get better, and what do you have to do moving forward?
I said before, I didn't come here just to be a head coach again. I didn't come here to say that I'm the head coach at the University of Texas. Like, I came here to win a championship, and then if I can get one, I want to get 2. And I'm borderline obsessed with it at this point. I know what it tasted like last year. I know how close we were, and I couldn't wait to get back. And hopefully that's what our team really starts to exude, is this obsession with being the best.
Well, that's it. I mean, is this team ready to be the best? I mean, can they do that? Can they sustain in a conference that's a little bit different than the Big 12?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it's a lot different than the Big 12. So, I mean, do that. I mean, the players, the coaches have it. They always want it. They do the work behind the scenes, but the players are the ones that have to do the work on the football field. Can they continue to do that? Can they continue to grow, get better each and every week? And so far, so good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. We haven't played a game.
Haven't played a game yet.
So we haven't lost a game.
Haven't lost a game yet. Yep, Texas a 34-point favorite in this one against Colorado State. The line's kind of been fluctuating between 31 and 35 points, and as things stand, just over 2 hours away from kickoff, Texas is a 34-point favorite against CSU. What about this week, though, right? Steve Sarkeesian held a couple of press conferences, a couple of game week press conferences, one on Monday and then one on Thursday, and he talked about his team's preparation, right? Everyone knows what's coming up next Saturday, Buck. 7 days from now, Texas will be on the road in Ann Arbor taking on the defending champion Michigan Wolverines. Everyone and their mother has been talking about that game all off season long. So there's such a thing called a trap game. and this is a potential look-ahead scenario for Texas with everything that's at stake next week. I was curious to hear Steve Sarkeesian talk about his team's mindset going into this game. And here's the coach. It sounds like his team is right where they need to be.
We've had 3 really good practices in a row. I commended the team. I think the intent, the attention to detail, the speed in which we practiced with, and most notably on Tuesday and Wednesday, the physicality that we practiced in was really encouraging going into a first game. You know, sometimes you're still going through some of the growing pains of how we prepare and things of that nature. But like I said, I think all that goes back to the veteran leadership that we have, and then the commitment from a lot of our new people to just jump right into this is how we go about our business to prepare for a game. And it definitely showed. I was thoroughly impressed with the way these guys worked here this week. And naturally, we know we've got a really good cleanup day tomorrow, but proud of the way they've prepared and put ourselves, I think, in a really good position to go out and perform Saturday.
Well, you know, you have to practice well in order to play well. And it sounds like they got everything that they needed to get done at the end of the week before your first game. I mean, the game next week is next week.
Yeah.
You got to take care of what's going on this week. There's a lot of things, a lot of new players on this football team coming into the transfer portal, younger players getting their first opportunities to play. So you have to make sure that they're ready to play in this game and not looking forward to going to Ann Arbor next week.
Yep.
You can't get ahead of yourself. And this is a team that if you get too far ahead of yourself, I mean, this is a group that's just trying to gather some success. You know, they had one of the better seasons they had in a long, long time. You don't want to destroy that by getting so far out in front of yourself that you don't take care of the business at hand. And the business at hand is today. And it sounds like they had a pretty good practice over the course of the week preparing for the football game.
And I get what's at stake next weekend, but how can you overlook game 1 of the season?
Well,
right?
you can't. Now you get an opportunity to hit somebody in a different colored jersey.
Yeah.
You've been banging around these guys, knocking them all over the place all summer long, all spring long. You've been waking up to winter workouts with the same faces, smelling the same smelly guys that have been around you. Time for some different smells, time for some different jerseys. And what he said about the physicality of practice and the way they practice and practice with speed, that means you're confident in what you've been taught by your coaches. So if they've had a good, confident speed week and physical week, that means they're very confident about the way they're going to play today.
Everything these guys have been doing for the last 8 months has been in preparation for this moment, like you said.
It's really a weird thing because for you and I and for Texas fans, it feels like it doesn't feel like it was that long ago from being in Louisiana for the Sugar Bowl. It's like we're rolling into another season, and it's like those guys should be prepared to go for the season. Well, those guys for the last 8 months or 7 months have been working their rear ends off to prepare for this. They don't just show up like they did, at the Sugar Bowl. It's preparation, it's work, it's dedication. It's blood, it's sweat, and those are the things that they have to prepare for. Us as fans, we just get in the car, take a drive, buy some tickets, and show up. For them, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It sounds like this team is pretty well prepared.
Yeah, the games are supposed to be the reward, right?
Absolutely.
For all of the blood, sweat, and tears these guys have been putting in practice every single day for the last month and really for the last 8 months. This is the gift. This is the fun part. This is what these guys put in the work for. And like you said, now they finally get the opportunity to hit somebody wearing a different color uniform, which is fun. Quinn Ewers, Buck, going into his 3rd year as the starting quarterback at the University of Texas. Everybody knows how highly touted he was going out of South Lake Carroll in high school. Obviously, the crazy start to his college career where he skipped his senior year of high school, ended up enrolling at Ohio State, was there for a season, didn't play, transferred down to Texas, and this will be his 3rd year here in Austin. He's coming off of a very, very successful 2023 campaign, threw for almost 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. People were expecting big things last year, but now the expectations are sky high. I'm looking at updated Heisman odds right now from our friends at Circa Resort and Casino. Quinn Ewers, the 3rd best odds to win the Heisman Trophy this year. You look at 2025 NFL mock drafts, you see Quinn Ewers in just about every single first round of those. If Texas is going to do what it did last year, and if Texas is going to take things a step further than where they were last year, it feels like it all starts with number 3.
Yeah, I mean, he can play as well as he played last year, but in order for them to play and be in that final 12 teams, this dude has to play even better than he did last year. And that's a big ask from him. But once again, here's an experienced quarterback with talent all around him, an unbelievable talented offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in college football. So he goes in with confidence knowing that he's well protected, and he's going to be able, I think, to do some things maybe even better than he did last year. I think he showed improvement last year. I think this is another step forward for Quinn Ewers. And as he goes, this team will go.
Yeah.
And I know that there's capable backups or capable people that are behind him ready to go, but this group right now will go the way he goes, especially early in the football season.
Yeah, Quinn's got to be the guy, right?
Yes,
Because
there's no doubt.
you look at what Texas lost on the offensive side of the football. The leading rusher, Jonathan Brooks, off to the NFL. The top 5 pass catchers from last year's team off to the NFL, right? 3 receivers, a tight end, and the aforementioned Jonathan Brooks. And oh, by the way, C.J. Baxter, who was slated to replace Jonathan Brooks and be this team's number 1 tailback here in 2024, we know he's lost for the season with an injury that he sustained in fall camp. So there's plenty of talent on this Texas team, Buck, but it's a lot of new faces into the starting lineup for the Longhorns. Quinn Ewers is that one consistent thing, and I'm with you. He's got to elevate his game to another level for Texas to get where Texas wants to get.
Well, he has to elevate his level. One of the reasons why is because they're missing 2 running backs. They're missing their starting running back, and they're missing a young kid that's down the line. And these are 2 injuries at the running back position before they even played a game. Heck, before they got into their 3rd week of summer practice, They lost guys. And they didn't lose them for a couple of weeks. They've lost 2 running backs for the entire football season. So this is why Quinn Ewers has to be so good, because we don't know. Well, we know what Blue brings to the table, but we don't know what the other guys bring to the table in the running game. So he's going to have to be extra careful of what he does with the football. He's going to have to take chances, do some things with the football throwing, but he's also going to have to be careful because turnovers, boy, they're going to have to be at a premium if you give the ball to the other team now when you're losing 2 running backs before you even start the season. I mean, and like I say, what a tough blow for this football team to lose 2 guys before you even play a game. And they're not losses for a week or 2 weeks. Oh, the guy will be back. This guy will be back in 2 weeks, maybe in the middle of next week. These guys are gone for the entire football season.
Yeah, well, let's transition to that. How do you feel about this Texas running game, right? C.J. Baxter was the leading returning rusher for this team. He got hurt. Christian Clark, one of the 2 talented freshmen that Steve Sarkeesian and Tashard Choice brought in the offseason, he got hurt. Both of them, as you said, out for the year. So it's just, I guess, now 4 scholarship running backs on campus because Texas added Velton Gardner just 9 days ago. But it's Jaden Blue, it's Trey Wisner, and it's Jarrett Gibson. That's sort of your 3-headed monster in this Texas running back room. The run game was obviously a huge part of the Longhorns' success in the Big 12 championship winning season a year ago. How do you feel about this Texas running game going into game 1?
Well, I feel fantastic about Jaden Blue. I mean, I got a chance to watch him play last year. I think we all saw that he's capable. He's capable of having big games. He's also capable of having a big year. And he's one of these young guys that can get it done. I mean, he's stronger. I mean, he understands the offensive schemes. The other guys behind him, I have no clue. I don't know. I can only go by what the coaches say. And I think we're fortunate to get some insight from the coaches on spring ball, on summer ball about Trey Wisner, how he's gotten, Jared Gibson. We don't know. I mean, he's a freshman. That's coaches can say what they want. Well, okay, he looks better than he looked in high school. Okay, thanks, coach. I mean, this is a different level now.
Yeah.
I hope he looks better than he did in high school. So we're just hoping that it works out for him. But I don't know what to think. I think we're all going to wait and see how that works out. I think we have expectations of what the running game is with your starting running back. I think he's a young man that's over 1,000-yard rushers himself. But if he gets 1,000 yards, who then is next in line? You can't have a guy with 1,000 yards and another guy with 150. I mean, somebody still has to be in that 600, 700-yard range, and especially in the SEC and what's going to happen in the run game in the SEC.
Yeah, as much as I love Jaden Blue, I don't know if he's a 20 to 25 carry a game type of guy.
Or they're going to try. I mean, you're going to find out if he can take that kind of workload. I don't think they'll be careful with him. I think they'll wear him smooth out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, every game will be important, especially next week. Oh yeah, especially next week.
Yep.
He's going to have to carry a bunch of carries. But they'll find out an awful lot about Trey Wisner today. I think all the fans will find out if this kid is for real or is this just coach speak about how he's practiced during the spring and everything. Can he play at this level? And this is a great opportunity because this is the type of football team that will come in here, want to be physical. I don't know how physical they can be, but they'll want to be physical. They'll play hard, and they'll give this Texas run game a real go for this money early until they wear out.
Here I'm turning around and taking a selfie with the guy who's behind us, taking a picture of our broadcast. So
very nice.
That's the kind of customer service you get with Texas Sports Unfiltered. Please subscribe and download the app if
there
you
you
haven't
go.
already. Jaden Blue, Buck, in his career, 65 carries, 407 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Trey Wisner, who you were just talking about,
Yes.
in his career, 12 carries, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. Jarrett Gibson, the freshman, I don't need to say it, but I'll say it anyways, 0 carries, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. That's your running back group this season.
Yeah, that's your running back group going into the SEC.
Yep.
The most physical conference in college football. And the coach is not going to want to get away from what he does. He wants to have a variety of things that he does in the run game. He's always had a 1,000-yard rusher. I would expect that Steve Sarkeesian expects to have a 1,000-yard rusher in Jaden Blue. I think he's going to. I think he expects to, and I expect him to be too. Knock on wood, if that kid stays healthy, he can have 1,200 yards easily. It's just what the guy behind him, what will they offer? Because there's going to be a time where, it's still going to be hot the first couple games. That guy is going to need a rest. I mean, and he's very fortunate to have one of the best offensive lines in college football that he's running behind.
Yeah.
But he's still going to need a blow every once in a while. And when I say a blow, I don't mean one guy comes in for 1 down. I mean, somebody's going to have to come in a series, maybe 2 series, and give him a rest. And knock on wood that group stays healthy, because you start to get into a freshman out of high school being your number 2 guy, and then you're playing with a guy who's only got how many carries in his career? 73 carries?
Jaden Blue?
No.
Trey Wisner, 12 carries. 73 yards.
Sorry. 73 yards,
That's
not
it.
73 carries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. It really, really is.
There are about a billion reasons why I want Texas to win comfortably today, but I think at the very top of that list of billion is I want Jaden Blue to be healthy for next Saturday.
For sure.
Right? Like, you want as many guys as possible ready to go for the game in Ann Arbor. You love Texas to have a 3 to 4 touchdown lead at halftime, and they can tell Jaden Blue, hey, man, go change into street clothes. We're not going to need you in the second half. Just rest up and start your preparation for next week.
Yeah, I would love that too. I'd love to see a lot of kids get an opportunity to play today. I mean, I'd like to see 3 quarterbacks get in this football game today. I'd like to see the starting quarterback go in and have an unbelievable first half, maybe into the third quarter, and then have a seat himself so that we can see the backup quarterback and the backup to the backup get in. This is a perfect game. This is a real test. This is not like Oklahoma playing Temple last night. This is going to be a good test for the Longhorns, and I like it. I like this kind of test for this football team, and especially for all the fans to find out what some of these other guys are made of, because you're going to find out on that defensive front when we start talking defense what it's all about when you're missing 2 great players.
Absolutely. A lot for Texas to replace. We'll take a deeper dive into the Colorado State Rams here in a moment. Of course, you can hit us up on the Coda text line, 512-222-9328. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, hit us up on the Clean Cause comments line. Sorry, we're not messing around. We got sponsors for all this stuff this year.
Absolutely. And folks that are on their way to the game today, the legend Earl Campbell is here and will be here very shortly. And if he's not here already, getting ready to sign autographs. He's got his jerseys.
There we go.
Autographs. Take a picture with Earl today in Zegarunde Hall. But come on down and join us. And as we said, we do a full 2-hour pregame show. We don't do 15 minutes and then we disappear to the network. We stay on for a full 2 hours. So come on down and say hello to us. We'd love to see you. And we love our wonderful sponsors. As a matter of fact, they're good friends over, of course, at Clean Cause. And folks, I love the folks at Clean Cause because they do some wonderful things here in the Austin area. 50% of their profits support individuals in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. I am 24 years sober. I love the folks at Clean Cause that know what they're all about. Those drinks are organic, sparkling, yerba mate flavors like cherry lime and, of course, orange ginger. And they'll get your day going 160 milligrams of better caffeine. Now, I do have some caffeine, but this is better caffeine for you. Of course, you can find them at HEBs and, of course, our 7-Elevens, our good friends over at 7-Eleven, Whole Foods, the whole works. Love the folks at Clean Cause. We appreciate them being one of our sponsors.
Absolutely. And an early shout out to Noe on the Clean Cause YouTube comments line. How about a $50 super chat?
Nice.
For us to start things off
Good
today.
start for the year.
Much appreciated, Noe. Appreciate everything you do for us. And how about this prediction from Chad? Colin Simmons, the true freshman from Duncanville, is going to end with 2 sacks. And Isaiah Bond, the Alabama transfer, will have 2 touchdowns today. How about those bold calls from our man Chad?
Good
I like
call.
that. Yeah, I'm curious to see how much Colin Simmons plays. I'm curious to see how much all of these freshmen play But Isaiah Bond, there's a very good chance he is the number one receiver for this Texas football team. I'm expecting him to make some things happen today and all season long.
Yeah, I like to see some of these new faces get into this football game today. And when you're recruiting after, you're going into your fourth year and your recruitment, you had top 5 classes over the last 3 years. You expect now to see players that are sophomores and juniors get an opportunity to play in your fourth year. I mean, they've been around there. If they're still in your program, did you make a mistake, or are they good enough to play at this level?
Yeah.
This is time to find out right now.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's what you want to see. Let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian. What does the head coach of the Texas Longhorns want to see in this season opener?
Yeah, I think one of the keys is you try to minimize the self-inflicted wounds in week one. And what are those? False starts, illegal formations, defensive, lining up in the neutral zone, jumping off sides. You try to minimize the penalties in the special teams game, right? The blocks in the backs, the holds. You try to minimize the substitution errors. You want to have 11 guys on the field. You don't want to get stuck with 12 or 10 and having to waste timeouts. Naturally, you want to tackle as best you can. We try to tackle to get our guys ready, but you can never do it enough. But to take care of both sides, this is what you have to do. So you're always looking for how are we tackling? Are we bringing our feet? And then for me, the biggest thing that I'm looking for now more than ever is our ability to play a lot of players, especially in the first half of this game. And, I know, like we have a 2 deep, when in reality our 1s are our 2s and our 2s are our 1s. And so getting all those guys involved in the game and seeing the comfort level maybe of some of our younger players and then getting them more comfortable as the game goes on, I think is important for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to see his team play sharp. They want to come out sharp. They want to look disciplined. I mean, the silly penalties of every once in a while in game number 1, you're going to get an offside. Somebody's going to jump offsides. You're going to have 12 men on the field, but you can't have 4 of those. But what you can't have is the acts of aggression, the dumb penalties, where somebody hits somebody late, and it's after the echo of the whistle. Everything's dead, and you come up and give a cheap shot to a guy. It just shows a lack of discipline. That's the stuff that he doesn't want to see in game 1. And you'll find out about your players. Can they play under control? If somebody takes a shot at you, are you going to retaliate, take a shot back at them? These are the things that coaches worry about in game number 1. They understand what's going to happen. You're going to have something happen in your special teams. You're going to have an extra player on the field. Somebody's going to jump off sides. Things like that. That's just natural in football. You're not going to play a perfect game, although you'd like to have a perfect game. You're not going to have a perfect game in game 1. Individuals who get in there for the first time, guys will almost be peeing down their leg because they've never played at this level before. But the stupid penalties, the ones that, that you look at the guy and say, really? I mean, the whistle's blown, 10 seconds ago, and you're throwing punches at a guy. That's what you got to try to avoid.
Well, that's an area I think Texas can improve on this year. Not necessarily those dumb penalties that you're talking about. This team was disciplined last year.
Yes, they were.
But they were 99th in the country in terms of penalties per game. Now, I think a lot of that had to do with Big 12 refs trying to give Texas the middle finger on the way out the door, right? We were all calling conspiracy during some of those conference games a season ago. But still, 99th in the country in penalties per game. That is an area where you'd like to see Texas improve. It's not going to be perfect, especially in game 1, but nothing stupid, nothing sloppy.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that allows Colorado State to make this game interesting, right? You turn the ball over a few times. You commit dumb penalties to take big plays off the board. You commit dumb penalties to keep their drives alive. You make those type of mistakes, and that's how Texas, as a 30-plus point favorite, can allow a team like Colorado State to make this interesting.
And they can make it interesting. They can throw the ball around. This is a team that throws the football. They want to throw the football. They're not going to run the ball on Texas. They're going to try, like everybody will early, to find out, now that you're missing 2 big men in the middle, can you sustain against the run? Well, they're going to try that. They're going to find out that they can't do that. But they do. Their bread and butter is to throw the ball. They at the air raid. They want to get it down the field. They were 9th best in throwing the ball last year in the nation. That's what they do. Yeah. And they've got the quarterback to do that. So they won't get away from that. And plus, they want to find out, is Texas secondary ready? Are they up for the task this season? Because they were not up for the task last year.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think every Texas fan is looking forward to today. And that can segue us into our deep dive into this Colorado State team because they do run an air raid offense. So we'll sort of preview the types of problems that they can provide to Texas today. But before that, we got to do a first scoreboard update.
Very nice.
Of the 2024 Texas football season. And our scoreboard updates are brought to you by Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill.
Oh, it's the first week of school, a second week of school. And hey, no better place to take mom and dad to the Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill right downtown. 2 locations, one here downtown and one at Avery Ranch. Join them for lunch and happy hour. Their famous buffet brunch on Sundays. Moonshine is the place to book your special events. Of course, downtown location hosts Spirit Library. And of course, go down there and take mom and dad, take their checkbook and have a fantastic, take all your roommates with mom and dad, as a matter of fact, down to Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill and show them what kind of guy and gal you are, that you're going to take care of everybody in your dorm. Not in your dorm, everybody in your apartment.
There you go.
I want to do the whole dorm.
Did you say checkbook? There ain't a college kid here that has a checkbook.
Sorry, take care. Get that credit card out.
Take your parents' credit card.
Take that credit card.
Go to Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill, and that's how you buy
take a friend or 10 over to the Moonshine on Sunday morning after a big win.
Hey, invite us.
Yeah, we'll go.
I don't have any plans for brunch tomorrow.
Love brunch at the Moonshine. They have fantastic brunch there.
I'd be more than happy to use your parents' credit card to buy a meal. Thank you very much. Love our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Scoreboard update. We'll start with the game last night. The Oklahoma Sooners all over Temple. 51-3, the final score there. Easy victory for Brent Venables. And I will say this, look, you got to keep the opponent in mind. Temple's not very good. Oklahoma was a 43-point favorite, so they basically did what they were supposed to do. That new quarterback, Jackson Arnold, replacing Dylan Gabriel, who's now at Oregon. Pretty solid debut for him. 4 touchdown passes in that win for the Sooners.
And I hope they were able to run the ball well, since their running back coach is cheating. So I hope they ran it well against Temple. I'm sure they did everything pretty good last night.
Yeah, that was a beatdown.
That was not much of a contest to start.
Against former Texas running backs coach Stan Drayton, who's now the head coach at Temple, and not a great showing for him last night. Games in action today. Clemson hanging around with Georgia. It's been a defensive struggle in Atlanta. The top-ranked Bulldogs lead Clemson at halftime 6-0. Just a couple of field goals for the Dogs in this one. Clemson, though, a double-digit underdog, still within a score of Georgia at halftime.
Yeah, they're kind of sleepwalking in the first half. Maybe they'll wake up in the second half and take care of business because, by the way, Clemson's doing nothing either.
No.
Obviously, they're doing nothing. They have nothing.
Yeah, Austin's own Cade Klubnik, of course, a proud graduate of Westlake High School, 7 of 12 for 54 yards in that first half, but only 76 yards of total offense and 2 first downs for Clemson through 30 minutes. So, obviously, they're going to have to score at some point if they want to win this game. We'll see if they can do it in the second half. 3 other ranked teams in action right now. Number 8, Penn State leads West Virginia 13-3 at the 2-minute warning. Yes, we have that now in college football. The 2-minute timeout. I think that's the verbiage they want us to use. To hell with that. We're calling it the 2-minute warning.
Yes.
Penn State with a 10-point lead there. Iowa has scored, but they only have 6 points at halftime against Illinois State. 6-0 the score. Iowa leads Illinois State. And then 15th ranked Tennessee, of course, an SEC team. They lead Chattanooga 24-0 at the end of the first quarter. So a smooth start for the Vols, who are expecting big things with their first-year starter at quarterback.
You know, BK, this has been a long time coming for the University of Texas, and then this move to the SEC, and the excitement since that started, since that announcement was done in July 1st, it has been just an ongoing thing. SEC gear all over the place, and folks getting ready to be a part of the best conference in college football. You know, the 12-team playoff, the whole excitement about college football, but for fans to get themselves into the position where Texas fans wanted to be. This is the place that they always wanted to be. Now, all I wish to do is have the Aggies come back to the Big 12, and my life will be just, get them out of the SEC and bring the Aggies back into the Big 12 would be fantastic. But to have the Horns in the SEC, it's got to be exciting for fans. You can see the excitement in people's faces.
Well, just watching the Oklahoma game last night,
right?
Yeah. Seeing the SEC logos on the field, seeing the SEC patches on their jerseys, it's like kind of hit me.
Finally. Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, this is real. And obviously at 2:30 when Texas takes the field, it's going to be like, oh, no, this is actually happening. We've been talking about this for 3 years, but it's finally here.
I'm going to say that SEC chant will go up in the first quarter.
You think so?
Today. Oh, yeah.
We're going to use it against Colorado State?
Yeah, oh, yeah, it's going to happen.
They got to know.
They have to know. They have to understand, yes.
Oh, man, yeah, and I think you're right. I think there will be a few SEC chants inside DKR today. Some Texas fans are against it, like, nah, we don't need to be doing stuff like that.
Yes,
but
you do.
I think a lot of Texas fans are going to buy into the culture that is the Southeastern Conference. One more quick score before we jump back into Texas CSU. Vanderbilt, the team that was picked to finish last in the conference, a team that Texas will play in Nashville later in the year, leads Virginia Tech 17-3 at halftime. Virginia Tech, one of the favorites in the ACC. They were a dark horse college football playoff contender for some folks out there. And Vanderbilt is dominating them right now. So goes to show you that the SEC,
top to bottom, we're talking about top to the very bottom.
We know the conference is better than the Big 12. There's no denying that. But you're kind of like, all right, well, at least we have Vanderbilt. That's an easy win every single season. Look, it's one half of one game.
Right.
But the Commodores showing up a little bit early. So welcome to the SEC.
Yeah, well, the only thing about football is they play those two halves.
They do play those two halves.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech can still come alive in the second half. And hopefully Vanderbilt will make this a good game. I want Vandy to win. What do I care about Virginia Tech? We don't care about them, do we?
Oh. No, I don't care about Virginia
Steamroll them.
Steamroll them.
Yeah.
Beamer's not there anymore.
That's right.
I don't care about that.
Steamroll that group.
All right, let's take a deep dive into the Colorado State Rams. Once again, we are at Scholz Garten. If you are here, make sure you sign up. We've got a couple of different giveaways going on at the table next to us. Intern Brock is with us. Intern's girlfriend Emma is with us. Hope I'm allowed to say that. Crybaby Mason is with us. We love Mason, but I had to drop that nickname because I don't know if we've seen him since after.
I haven't seen him since Louisiana.
The Sugar Bowl when Texas lost to Washington. Hey, he wasn't the only person crying after that one. That was a tough one. But a deep dive into Colorado State. Of course, Texas's first opponent. This is the second all-time matchup between the Longhorns and the Rams. The first matchup was back in 1975 here in Austin. Texas won that game 46-0. Longhorn fans hoping for a similar result. Last year, Colorado State was 5-7, tied for 8th place in the Mountain West. They just missed out on a bowl game. This year, Jay Norvell, former Texas wide receivers coach. He was here in 2015 as an assistant under Charlie Strong. Sorry to bring that up. We're having a good day. No more Charlie Strong.
That's it. Talk. That's the last of that.
But he's familiar with Texas. He also coached at Oklahoma as an assistant for a number of years before his time in Austin. So he's very familiar with Texas. He took over a bad Colorado State team, a program that hadn't won more than 4 games in a year since 2017. Once again, they got to 5 last year, just missed a bowl game, but 3 wins in year 1 for Jay Norvell, 5 wins in year 2. Last year, if you did watch Colorado State play, the game you probably saw was the game against Colorado.
Yes.
They blew that game. They had a big lead late. They ended up losing in double overtime, but that was their last game against a power opponent, and they played pretty well. Say what you will about Coach Prime in Colorado, but Jay Norvell, Buck, has this program going in the right direction. There are a couple of things that Colorado State does really well, and I agree with you. You and I have been talking about it all week, but you said it earlier today. This is the ideal opponent in a season opener. They're not going to roll over and die like Temple did.
No.
So you actually can learn something about your team because you're not playing against a bunch of scrubs, but also, okay, they're not great. This is not a team like Michigan or Alabama or Georgia to where it's like if you don't have your puppies in order, you're in trouble. I feel like this is the perfect week 1 opponent for Texas.
Well, what they have is they have some top-line players at certain positions, but they don't have top-line players at every position. They don't have even their starters at certain positions are good players, but they're just good for Mountain West football. That's what they're good for. They're not good for SEC type of football, but they're kids that will be physical. Jay Norvell has brought some physicality to the program over the last couple of years, which has been great for them. They're not afraid to go on the road and play teams. They'll go play. They'll get beat, but they'll play hard until they give out, which is a good sign in your program. It means that you're a tough physical team. They just don't have a lot of skill players, and the skill players they do have are good. They're NFL type of players. Their wide receiver is an NFL type of football player. Texas will see some NFL type of football players throughout the season, but they won't see many as good as Torrey. They just won't.
Yeah.
This guy can go. This guy's going to be a draft pick after this season. He can go get it. I mean, he's 6'2", 205, 210. He's a big kid. He's long-legged. He can make things happen. He's got really good speed. The quarterback is a fantastic young quarterback that's 6'3", 210. And he's a skilled quarterback, and he can throw the ball, he can escape. But outside of that, the running backs are just kind of suspect.
Yep.
this offensive line, you know, they have 3 returning starters. Their best player is their center on the offensive line, which he will get tested today and find out how good he is. But the offensive line will struggle a little bit. They've struggled over the last couple of years, but they've got some skilled players as wide receivers, you know, but not a lot. They don't have 3-4 deep. They have 2 kids maybe at wide receiver.
Yeah, they
have 1 at running back and a bunch of guys that have had 200-yard total career season. I mean, that's it.
Right.
So they will struggle at that part of it.
Yeah, it's an air raid offense. Colorado State doesn't like to run the football very much, and they didn't run the football well last year at all. They averaged just 3.3 yards a carry, which ranked 116th in the country. They also averaged just 91 rushing yards a game in 2023. That was 123rd in the country. There's only 133 teams in Division I FBS college football. So Colorado State, one of the worst running teams a season ago, and their leading rusher, Buck, had 394 yards. On the season, Texas had 3 running backs with more than that last year. So the strength of Colorado State is their passing game, and this will be a good test for the Texas secondary. You talked about their quarterback, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, threw for more than 3,400 yards a season ago, had 22 touchdowns. Quinn Ewers had 22 touchdowns. You talked about Torrey Horton, 1,100 yards and 8 scores in each of the last 2 seasons. This is one of the better passing games in the country last season. We know Texas had one of the worst secondaries in the country last season. It's kind of a strength on weakness thing, and you're hoping you're seeing a good display and a lot of progress from what we saw last year from the Texas defensive backs.
Right, you want to see that from the secondary, but you're going to see Nicolosi throw the ball. He's going to throw it all over the place.
Yep.
He also had, I think, 16 interceptions last year.
Yeah, tied for the lead in the country.
So he'll throw some picks. He'll throw it to the other guy, and what an opportune time for this Texas secondary for a guy who throws interceptions to come into this place. This is a place to get well for this secondary, because if you get torched here, it's going to be a long season for this group in the secondary. Plus, it's a great opportunity for some players to, hey, if you're the starter in this secondary, you don't play well in the first couple series, guess what? You bring in the next guy.
Yep.
I mean, I don't expect the kid to throw for 600 yards. I expect for him to have a little bit of success. I also expect for him to be on his back a lot today.
That's the hope.
Yeah, I don't expect to see him upright after he throws the ball a lot today. I expect to see a lot of pass rush in his face, which will make it even harder for him, especially a guy who's throwing interceptions. So secondary should get well. Defensive line, the defensive ends and rush ends, they should have a field day today against this offensive line.
Yeah, and I think Braden Fowler-Nicolosi is a better quarterback than anybody Texas will see at Michigan next week.
I think so, yes.
And I think Torrey Horton is a better wide receiver than anybody Texas will see at Michigan next week. So I sure as hell am not here trying to make the argument that Colorado State is better than Michigan, but I'm telling you, this will be a good test for this Texas pass defense. And if they pass this test today, I think you should feel good that, okay, the secondary next week on the road against the top 10 team is going to be fine.
Yeah, and what you won't feel good about is if this team could come in and run the football with a bunch of very average runners.
That'd be an issue.
That would be a real issue going into next week. So there are some things, and people will do this. They're going to look forward to what happens next week, because a lot of these Longhorn fans that are here today will be in Ann Arbor for the first time. And you want to see a running back, watch you see that dude run next week.
Donovan Edwards.
Wow.
Yeah, he's on the cover of the video game with Quinn Ewers, right? Those were 2 of the 3 players that got selected by EA Sports.
That guy is a beast.
And that guy's a monster. Yeah, everyone saw it in the national title game against Washington. Cheaters. But Donovan Edwards is still a baller. And, yeah, he will be a big-time test for Texas next week.
Yeah, so I expect the defense. The defense was one of the best defenses against the run last year to show that, today in the start. And because when you're missing the guys that they're missing, the 2 great players that are gone from University of Texas, and you've got a subpar running game coming there, averaging 3 yards a carry, you ought to be the number 1 defense against the rush after week 1 against this group.
I'm with you on that one. Let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian. Coach Sark was asked about the Colorado State offense and what they bring to the table. Here's the head coach.
Well, I think, one, they have an elite receiver, and knowing where he is critical, first of all, because, a lot of their offense kind of starts with him. And if the quarterback's got a favorable matchup, you can almost guarantee that's where the ball is going to go. But I think they've added some pieces around him as well. We know Armani Winfield well. We recruited him. He was committed to us here a couple of years ago. So the addition of Armani, I think, is helpful. They have a runner who, only played in 3 games last year, rushed for over 300 yards. So we think the running game could cause some issues there as well. to try to create some one-on-one matchups on the perimeter. And they know their system really well. And then because when you know your system well, they know the answers to the test when you try to give them a different look. And so I think it's important for us to, be tight in coverage, try to affect the quarterback, and then having the ability to mix things up to try to create a little bit of hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, you knew the answers to the test too when you turned the bottom of your shoe over, didn't you, BK?
Yeah.
And found out what those answers were to your test. Well,
yeah, I used to you see this water bottle here and this label it has? I used to custom make labels with answers and put them around a Coke bottle and take them into the classroom.
Why, unbelievable.
Oh, I was a piece of shit.
you knew your stuff, didn't you?
I did. Well, my Coke bottle knew its stuff.
Wow.
That's how it went.
Yeah, I think, as Sark says, that they've got some players that they know what they do best. But Texas is going to know what they do best too. That's a part of it. And you just have better players right now, and you should dominate this game in every aspect of the game. Once again, I think the quarterback's good enough to get some plays off. He shouldn't get more than 2 or 3 of them off. There shouldn't be guys that are wide open behind your secondary. This is a secondary. As I said, they have enough real live players right now in the secondary that are going to get some great opportunities today and for the next couple of weeks leading before they get into conference play to find out what they're made of. So this will be a good test. As I said, this is, I'm more important than anything. You're not playing Temple. You're not playing Southwest Texas, which you know how I feel about Southwest Texas.
Texas State.
That's
what they're called now.
I'm sorry, but you don't want that.
Yeah, you're scared of Texas State.
Absolutely. So I'm glad this is an opportunity for them to play against a really good team, a team that is a physical enough. But as I said, they just don't have the depth. They don't have the depth to last very long against Texas.
No. And you know who just walked by?
Who's that?
Our buddy Brandon Mars.
Yes, sir.
Top Gun Rentals and
Love it.
Lawn Equipment. And that's a perfect segue to talk about our opposing player to watch. Brought to you by our friends at Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. I always say Brandon's the type of guy you want to have a beer with. He literally bought me a beer like 5 minutes before our show started. So case in point right there. Our friends at Top Gun are here to help you tackle any job that you may have. They offer an extensive selection of rental equipment for everything from small home projects to large construction jobs. They've got the biggest brands: Steel, Hustler, Toro, Walker, DeWalt, and more. Brandon Mars and his team, they will hook you up with whatever you need to get the job done. They are Austin's #1 source for all of your equipment rentals, sales, and supplies, and they've been that way since 1996. 2 Austin area locations, one in Anderson Square up north, the other in Buda down south. It's topgun.net. Top Gun, they'll shoot you straight. I think we said it. The opposing player to watch, number 14, Torrey Horton. The star wide receiver for Colorado State. This is a guy who could have gone pro this past season. Probably would have been a day 3 draft pick if he decided to leave. Said, you know what, I'm going to come back for 1 more year in college. I'm going to put everything together. I'm going to ball out, and I'm going to play my way into a top 3 round draft pick in the draft.
It sounds like a young man that gave up an awful lot of an opportunity to make some money in the transfer portal, NIL money, at other places that would have loved to have this guy as a wide receiver, and said, no, I'm coming back to Colorado State. I got a lot of respect for Jay Norvell. I want to be around Jay Norvell. He's helped me grow not only as a football player, but as a young man. So kudos to him for coming back to play football in his last season at Colorado State instead of just taking off for the money.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? There were there were reports that Torrey Horton was offered $600,000 by Power 4 teams to enter the transfer portal and go play there instead. And to Torrey Horton's credit, he decided to stick around at Colorado State. Like you said, he knows the coach. He trusts the coach.
He knows they're going to throw the ball.
He knows the quarterback. He trusts the quarterback. It's an air raid system. So, yeah, he's going to get plenty of opportunities to put up some numbers this year. But that'll be a good test for Manny Muhammad. And it'll be a good test for Gavin Holmes or Jahdae Barron or Javion Cole, whoever the corner is going to be opposite of Manny Muhammad, because Torrey Horton is an NFL type of player. He is one of the better receivers that Texas will see this year. If whoever is matched up with him does a good job and can shut Torrey Horton down and keep him to 5 catches for 40-something yards today, then that's a really, really good sign that, all right, at least one of your corners is going to be really good this year.
You know what? That you're very optimistic, because when you say somebody keeping somebody to 5 catches and 40-some yards in this secondary, it's just hard. Yeah. There are certain things that you just want to see. You know, Trey Wisner, I want to see if that is for real. I want to see if this secondary has improved. Has the coaching improved in this secondary? Have the players improved in this secondary? And if they haven't, who are the next guys up? That's the part for me. Who are the next guys up? If we see players that haven't improved, or what? Well, it's not what we think; it's what the coaches think anyway. They're going to play the guys who want to play. But if we, the fans, haven't seen an improvement in that secondary, and we're going, okay, who's the next guy? Is that guy going to get in the game, or are you going to continue to go with what you're going with? They did that for a long time last year. You know, and you weren't going to make a bunch of changes. You lost a couple of coaches, so there wasn't going to be change on your staff. Hell, you won 12 games. You played in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, it's hard to say, okay, you need to leave. We didn't do this well. You don't want to mess with the continuity of your coaching staff. But I know what? They've got to get better in that secondary. If they want to be in that, even in that playoff, they have to get better in the secondary.
Yeah.
Because people now know what you don't do well.
Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon are back, the two secondary coaches for Texas a season ago. And like you said, look, Texas lost its defensive line coach, Bo Davis, who went to LSU. Texas lost its linebackers coach, Jeff Choate, who's now the head coach at Nevada. If Steve Sarkeesian would have let Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon go, that would have meant he had to replace his entire defensive staff after his best year ever as a head coach.
You're not going to do that.
In Texas's best year since 2009. So a lot of Longhorn fans wanted more changes. We didn't get it, but I think it's a big year for Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon.
There's no doubt.
A lot of new faces back there, which sometimes can be scary. But when you think of the guys who left, maybe not that scary.
No.
Maybe it's a good thing that there's so much personnel turnover in the defensive backfield for Texas. You brought in Andrew Makuba from Clemson. Big name player who's played in some big time games. A kid who's from the Austin area. Really, really talented. You brought in Javion Cole from San Jose State. Yeah, big upgrade in talent going from San Jose State to Texas. But this guy was one of the highest graded corners in college football last season. You brought Jahdae Barron back. There's no doubt he was the best secondary player for Texas a season ago. You've got a lot there. You've got a lot of names. These guys should be good. It has to come together. It's a minor miracle that Texas made the playoff despite having a secondary as bad as it was.
That's for sure. In college football, if you don't have a secondary, having a secondary is ranked in the top 120.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you feel like with
everything,
with everything you lost, you feel like the secondary is going to have to pick up some of the slack this season. We've talked about it. We'd love for Texas to be DBU again. I'd love for this to be a top 10, 15 secondary in college football this season. I don't think it has to be. If they could just be like top 50, if they could just be like slightly above average, then I think this Texas defense is going to be even better.
Yeah, and if they really come around, you know, with Andrew Makuba and Jahdae Barron, I mean, this will be really special. This secondary can be special. Really, really can.
Yeah, and to go to your point from earlier, look, it's not just the secondary that is involved with pass defense. You've got to have better edge rushers this year. You have to do a better job of getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks in 2024. That's an area where Texas kind of struggled a little bit last year. The team leader in sacks, Ethan Burke, with just 5.5. Anthony Hill was right behind him at 5. That guy was playing linebacker for large portions of the season. Texas, they spent some money now. Shout out Texas One Fund. They went and got Trey Moore from UTSA, a guy who had 14 sacks for the Roadrunners a season ago. They got 5-star freshman Colin Simmons, one of the top recruits in the country out of Duncanville. And they've got guys back, too. Baron Sorrell turned down the NFL to come back for another year. Ethan Burke's going into his third season. Colton Vosick's going into his third season. Buck, the edge rushers. This is one of the deepest groups on this Texas roster. Those guys up front should be able to help the secondary all year long.
There's no doubt about it. I think you'll see that as the big improvement on this Texas defense. I mean, yes, of course we expect the secondary to be better, but the rush ends ought to be really, really good. They have depth, so guys can take a blow, bring another guy in, and let's go. Let's get after the quarterback. And will the real Alfred Collins please stand up? Please stand up. I mean, that's going to be – there'll be a lot of eyes on that young man going into his final season at the University of Texas. Because if he does stand up to what he looks like coming off the bus, this could be a special year for the Longhorns, a special defense also.
Yeah. All right. Well, we could segue that into our defensive player of the game prediction. Which, let me make sure I get our sponsors right. We don't want to get anybody wrong here. Our defensive player of the game prediction is brought to you by our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars.
Oh, do we love the folks over at Kenfield?
I'll let you get the script here. You can handle this, Reed.
Yeah, folks, let me tell you, if you're in the market for a pre-owned golf cart, you've got good news for you. Our friends at Kenfield Golf Carts are right around the corner. They're right around the corner from here, as a matter of fact, when you talk about it. They have all kinds of golf carts that are over at the stadium around, of course, where we are at Scholz's Beer Garden.
I need a ride to the stadium.
Yeah, and they can get that done for you. I mean, whether you've got a whether you need a golf cart or you just got a big property and want to show people around that big property, they have that. A lot of folks have those just in the neighborhood alone. They're cruising my neighborhoods with Kenfield golf carts.
There we
as a matter
go.
of fact, just going from house to house. But folks, they've got a great location on, I think it's Pond Springs Road up north. Telephone number 512-258-8515 for Kenfield Golf Cars, and go to KenfieldGolfCars.com.
Absolutely.
Not golf carts, but golf cars, y'all.
Yeah.
.com.
They sell you golf carts.
Yes.
And also utility carts as well.
They've got it all.
But the name of the company, Kenfield Golf Cars.
And I am going to pick my defensive player. And
Sure.
I'm going to pick Jade Barron. You know, he's a friend of the show.
Yeah.
We saw him at SEC Media Day. And we haven't seen a healthy Barron. We haven't seen him healthy in a while. I thought he played a lot last year. I played a lot of snaps, not 100%. Well, as we all know, nobody's 100% at that time of the year or any time of the year after about the first or second game. But I like to see a healthy young guy play this year. And I think he'll make it. And especially in this football game, because I'm picking him as a defensive player in this game because the ball's going to be thrown a lot. And he has a tendency to be around the ball a lot when he's healthy. So I expected for him to be healthy. I expect for him to have a big game today.
I like that pick. I'm going to go with Barron Sorrell.
Oh, Mr. Sorrell's son.
Yeah, you talked about Jade Barron being a friend of the show. Barron
Mr.
Sorrell's
Sorrell.
dad is a friend of the show. He tunes in all of the time. I promise I'm not just pandering to him. Although, I'll take some free tickets.
There you go.
Mr. Sorrell, if you've got him. But I'm expecting big things from Barron Sorrell. 4 sacks last year. This is his senior year. It's a contract year for him. It's a contract year for a lot of these Texas Longhorns. This is their last chance to prove their worth to the NFL and show these NFL teams that, they are worth a spot on their roster next season. Barron Sorrell, excited for him going into his last year. I think the addition of Trey Moore on the other side of this defensive line is going to make life a little bit easier for him. I think the fact that Texas has as deep of an edge room as it does, they're going to be able to rotate guys to keep them fresh over the course of 60 minutes today and over the course of this entire season. I think all of that stuff is going to help Barron Sorrell. But I think Barron Sorrell is on a mission this year to make some things happen. I think
He wants to go make
today.
some money.
He wants to go make some money. I'm going to say 2 sacks for Barron Sorrell today.
Okay, I like that. I like that pick right there. I think you have so many guys on the rush inside that it should be, hey, when do I get my chance to get in there and get after this quarterback? Now, this offensive line, they have 3 starters on the offensive line. They talk about the best player on their offensive line is their center.
Yeah.
And so we can take care of that. If they struggle on the outside, it's going to be a hard time for this young quarterback, as I said, to stay upright. And with the depth that they have at the rush in, this should be a field day. Barron Sorrell should be part of that, too. You're absolutely right.
That's a good point, right? Colorado State's offensive line is not a weakness of their team, but still, this is the biggest difference between teams like Texas and teams like Colorado State.
Yes.
What happens on the lines of scrimmage. The talent, the depth, everything. Colorado State should not be able to block Texas today. If
No.
they do, that's a problem. But, this should be an opportunity for the Texas edge rushers, but also the interior of that Texas defensive line. You're having to replace Devondre Sweat and Byron Murphy as we get a horns down from a Colorado State fan.
They do that, too?
Yeah, I guess so. Everybody does it. He thinks I'm going to react and start crying or something, but instead I'm going to talk shit as he walks away. I'm going to see if he
We've
looks
seen
back.
it before.
Yeah, we've seen it before. We're used to that guy. Try something new.
From better teams.
Be original. All right. How about seeing OU last night against Temple flashing horns down?
Of course they do.
The Aggie fans on College Game Day this morning, they're all flashing horns down. It's like, you guys aren't playing us, but we appreciate y'all keeping us on your mind all
Well,
the
the
time.
Aggies can stop doing that once they get it back into the Big 12.
You're still putting in the call, huh?
Yeah, I'm putting in the call for them to get back.
At some point, A&M makes its way back to the Big 12
Absolutely.
Conference. I love that. But back to Texas, Colorado State. Yeah, look, we didn't give a defensive tackle as our defensive player of the game, but for Alfred Collins, for Vernon Broughton, for Tia Savea, and Bill Norton, and Jermaine Lolay, and Jared Bledsoe, and Tadir Mitchell, all of these guys, this is their time. This is an opportunity.
sure.
It was tough to get playing time last year because of how good T. Sweat and Byron Murphy were up the gut on that Texas defense. All of these guys are going to get their opportunity to showcase their stuff today, and hopefully they can play well because we all know what's coming up next week. We know Michigan's game plan is going to be run the football 40, 50, 60 times and just make Texas stop you. Big part of Texas's success as a team last year, maybe the biggest part, was how good they were at stopping the run. Top 3 rush defense in college football. I don't know if you can expect that this year with what you lost, but this still needs to be, and it still should be, one of the better run defenses in the nation.
Well, you lose a little bit at linebacker, but will you gain something with the young guy, with Anthony Hill? Will he be in the middle? Will he be outside? What do you gain with Anthony Hill? Will that be a big plus for you after losing the kids that you lost last year? But to lose Murphy and Sweat, that's a hard deal to replace right there. But if you've been behind them in your career and you've got a chance to watch those guys play, watch those guys react, watch the way they practice, you got to have your opportunity is right now for a guy like Broughton. You got to look at it and say, boy, what a great opportunity for me. Believe me, the NFL will come and look at you here after what they saw happen with the two guys that played here just previously.
Yep.
They'll come and look at you.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, you're going to get a look.
Everybody knows that Alfred Collins was a 5-star coming out of high school.
Sure.
Like, he looks like a Sunday player, as our man Lil Kev walks in here today. He looks like a Sunday player. If he puts it all together, I'm not talking about the 5th, 6th, or 7th round draft pick. We're talking about a guy who maybe could be a first rounder, but at worst a day 2 pick.
Well, if you get the second team, SEC second team, you got a real opportunity.
Yeah, he does.
And he's got every physical attribute to do that. And it's just a mental thing. Is it a hard thing? Well, you'll find out this year because you don't get another chance after this year.
Yep, the last year. I think the COVID eligibility years are finally going away after this one. That's what they're telling me, at least.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the defense. I really am. I think I'll be paying way more attention than I thought I would. I know I want to see on offense because, we'll get to talking about these wide receivers, but there's a lot to look at on the defense. And that starts from the secondary, and that moves back up to the front itself. I mean, from the linebacker area to the front. How will they play this? How will they play with these linebackers? Who's going to be – I'm glad to see David Benda coming back for another year.
Yep.
I was highly impressed with him last year. I thought for a big kid, a big, strong, physical kid, that David Benda – and you, yes, you're right about that.
That's
and
a big, strong physical guy right there.
Yeah, that's a big, strong physical guy from Colorado State.
I'd maybe use the word fat, but that's okay.
but you could tell that he had really worked his craft. He really worked on his game. I hope he still continues to improve. Yeah. I mean, I thought he played big last year. I thought he played fast last year too. So I'm interested in seeing how he's progressed even.
Yeah, David Benda going into his 6th year. Anthony Hill now moving over to linebacker full-time, replacing Jalen Ford. I think that's going to help this Texas defense too. Leonga Lafau, one of the younger guys. Mo Blackwell is back there as well. So It's a pretty good linebacker room. Doesn't feel like enough Texas fans have been talking about the linebackers, but I think that unit will be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. Let's just wait and see. Yeah. Let's see how they react to real live competition.
Is that a West Virginia shirt over there?
Now you're talking about it.
What are we doing
The
here?
worst city in America, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Don't you have daughters who went there?
Yeah, my sister went there, and my niece is now going there.
Oh, my gosh.
As they was getting beat up by Penn State.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. But, yeah, David Benda, as I said last year, BK, there are games where you saw that guy go from boundary to boundary, not just play well in the middle, but go from sideline to sideline and make plays. And I thought for a guy he looked like he was in the 240s. And I'm like, he's not going to be able to go some sideline. He's going to be great against the run, which he was. He was a part of that front that stopped the run game. But I was thinking, I don't believe he's going to be able to move like that. I was pleasantly surprised to see how well he moved.
Yeah, his best year by far.
For a big guy, yes.
Yeah, 6'2", 235 is the listed height and weight this year for David Benda. And another contract year type of guy. It's his 6th year. Like, he should be good. He's older than just about everybody else who's going to be on the field today. So, yeah, hopefully more of the same for David Benda. And if he can take another step this season, and he's going to be one of the better linebackers.
There's no doubt.
I think in the SEC. Shout out to Def Clown with the $5 super chat donation.
Keep it coming.
Saying so thankful y'all are warming us up for the game. TSU continues to deliver. Yes, tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll have a post-game show as well.
And by the way, BK, thanks to the folks that showed up at Covert BK yesterday for Derek Johnson for our meet and greet out there, our home games. And we welcome all the folks that are here, that are coming in here to join us at Covert BKs on Fridays of home games. We will have a wonderful, great player that will be joining us from noon till 1 o'clock. And it was packed yesterday. And thank you to Via 313, our food sponsor, along with Smoky Mo's. There was no food left over. There was nothing left for you.
No, I left hungry.
Yes.
I was so excited when I saw Via and Smoky Mo show up. I'm like,
and so was everybody else.
I'm going to have dinner tonight. I'm going to have lunch tomorrow. We're going to be set for the weekend.
What a packed house that was.
Now, great turnout yesterday. And, yeah, before every home game. So 2 weeks from yesterday, we will have our next Texas football pregame luncheon out at Covert BK. All right.
And we'll have some stars out there.
Yes, absolutely. Derek Johnson was there yesterday, but some big names will be at every single one of those luncheons. So we hope to see all of you at least one of those sometime this season. Hey, coming up in about 10 minutes, Ryan Davis Yes, that Brian Davis, longtime Texas reporter who was with the Austin American-Statesman for years. He's now at the new place, A to Z Sports. He's going to join us like old times to give his thoughts on Texas and Colorado State. But before that, how about some more scoreboard updates, Buck? Another round of scoreboard updates brought to you by our great friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. We already talked about them. Go get dinner there tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Go get brunch there tomorrow. You know what they got. If you don't, you're missing out.
Don't miss out on that Sunday brunch at the Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. It is magnificent.
Agreed.
And I'll tell you what, they have everything. Everything on the menu is fantastic. And, there are some great restaurants in this city, but Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill, the Chuck and Larry and the whole gang over there, we appreciate your sponsorship to us. We do appreciate that very much. And folks, show your love by heading over there. Oh, head over there tonight for dinner.
Yeah.
Why wait till tomorrow's brunch?
Hey, we can give away a gift card today.
For somebody hanging out?
No.
Let's go over there?
Well, most of our giveaways are for people who are here at Scholz Garten.
Yes.
But we still want to reward the folks who are tuned in.
Yeah, why not?
On YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the Texas Sports Unfiltered app. So we've got a $50 Moonshine gift card that we will mail to you. All you have to do to enter, leave a comment or drop a text on the Coda text line, 512-222-9328. Doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter how many times you text. You only get one total entry. But let us know. Hit us up, and you will be entered to win that $50 gift card from our great friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Buck, we have a touchdown in the Georgia-Clemson game. No surprise, it was Georgia who scored it. 13-0, the top-ranked Bulldogs leading Clemson. Clemson is driving. They are at the Georgia 32-yard line. We're 5 minutes into the third quarter, so plenty of time left. But as it stands right now, the Bulldogs looking good against Clemson. Halftime in Morgantown, not enough couch burning, not enough moonshine drinking, not enough cousin. I'm not going to go that far. Penn State over West Virginia, 20-6.
How did anybody let that one get away? I did not.
My cousin is all over the Nittany Lions today.
Oh, yeah, you can't let that. They can't stop the run. They can't stop those two running backs.
We have more points scored in the Iowa game. Yeah, it feels like we need a sounder every time Iowa puts points on the board. I know we don't cover them, but it's that big of a deal whenever they find a way to score that it's worth some sort of breaking news drop. How about a touchdown for the Hawkeyes, who lead Illinois State 12-0? They went for two. No surprise they didn't get it.
Wow.
Because it's Iowa. A couple more scores to get into. Vanderbilt still leads Virginia Tech at 17-10, early stages of the third quarter in Nashville. And how about Tennessee? 45-0 over Chattanooga with 4.5 minutes left.
The Chattanooga choo-choos are getting choo-chooed.
I don't think T.O. is playing in this game for the Mocs of Chattanooga. How about Nico Amalovia? I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. We're just going to go with that. His first game as the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Is he on the bench already? It's 45-0.
Not yet, but how about these numbers? 19 of 22, 282 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a career for some.
Yeah, not a bad first half for the fake UT's new starting quarterback. So there you go. There is your scoreboard update brought to you by our great friends, once again, at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. What about the offensive side of the ball, Buck? We gave you a defensive player of the game prediction. How about an offensive player of the game prediction brought to you by Verde's Mexican Parrilla? We'll tell you more about them a little bit later. But, man, there are so many choices with this Texas offense. Yes, you lose Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, Jatavion Sanders, Jordan Whittington, Jonathan Brooks. No, those guys won't be easy to replace, but Texas did about as good of a job as they could have done, hitting the recruiting ranks, hitting the transfer portal. They brought in some tremendous talent. And this offense, I don't know if it's as top-heavy as it was a season ago. It might be deeper than it was last year, and that's a scary thought for everyone who has to play.
Yeah, it is, because now you can bring in guys that are just like the guys that just stepped off the field. That's a scary proposition for defenses. I'm going to go with Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers will be my top offensive player for probably 80% of the season. Sorry. In order for this team to get to where they need to get, that guy will have to stay healthy. He will have to be a leader, and he'll have to be your offensive player, I believe. I just think that he's going to do some great things on his way out the door at the University of Texas. So I'm going to start out the season by saying Quentin Ewers will have a big day. I'm not saying the wide receiver won't have a big day. I like to see Jaden Blue have a good day too.
Yeah.
I really would like to see him get off to a good start, because they're going to need him to be lathered up for next week, because he's going to get lathered up next week in Ann Arbor.
What do you mean by that, lathered up?
I want him to get some good runs in today, get some long runs, get used to making good runs. Hey, get used to getting hit hard again.
Okay.
Because He's going to get hit hard next week.
We're talking baby oil, KY jelly.
No, just
sunscreen.
No, I just want him to sweat. I want him to get a good sweat on today.
Yeah.
I really would. And like you said, I also like to see him sitting on the bench midway in the third quarter and letting some of these other. I like to see some walk-ons that I've never heard on play running back here today.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd see the young Gibson play, but everything is going to be, to me, starting out with the way Quinn Ewers plays. We're going to find out pretty early if he's better than we saw him be last year. I mean, this is not that kind of game. This is not playing against Alabama. It's not playing against Georgia, what we'll see later on in the season. But this is a formidable opponent that he'll play against today, and they've got pretty good safeties. They got some pretty good safeties back there, some guys with some experience in the secondary. I don't know if they have great corners, but this will be a great opportunity for Quinn Ewers to get a really quick start going to the next week's ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Colorado State's defense was not very good last year. They gave up 30.5 points per game, which was 99th in college football. They also gave up 422 yards per game, which was 105th in the country. So an opportunity for this Texas offense to put up some good numbers and look good despite all of the new faces that this group has. And I made the call earlier in the offseason. I'm going to stick to it. I think this Texas offense averages more than 40 points per game this season.
Yeah, and you also think this wide receiver core will be, as you said, last year they were top heavy. The two guys up top were special players. How will they be? Will they go 4 deep this year? I mean, is there 4 guys in this group that can play anywhere at any time on the football field? I don't know yet. We'll see. And we've seen them play at other places. You know, we've seen Bolton and guys play at other spots, but how will they conform to what's going on in the schemes of what's happening here at the University of Texas? They're good athletes. They're good wide receivers. Hell, if they can run and catch, they should be okay.
It should be okay.
Yes.
Well, let's hear from Steve Sarkeesian, because I think every Longhorn fan has been curious to see what this wide receiver rotation looks like, right? Last year, you didn't need a rotation.
No.
You had Xavier Worthy, you had A.D. Mitchell, and you had Jordan Whittington. Those were your guys. Why would you take them off the field?
They didn't.
This year, you've got a lot more options. You don't have as many proven commodities. Like you said, you've had guys who have put up numbers at other schools, but you don't have a lot of guys who put up numbers here. Matter of fact, your leading returning wide receiver had 8 catches last season. That was Jonte Cook. So you don't know exactly how these guys work in this offense. You don't know exactly how these guys are going to work with Quinn Ewers. Here was Steve Sarkeesian on Monday talking about what the wide receiver rotation is going to look like today.
From a receiver standpoint, time will tell, as we go. A lot of these guys are going to play. We're going to play a lot of receivers, especially early in the season, and finding that rhythm and that rapport, and especially that rotation of players as we go. But I definitely have the utmost confidence in all those guys. It's just finding the right rhythm. And naturally, there's certain guys that the ball finds them. I used to say this a lot about Devontae Smith when we had him. The ball would find Devontae. It wasn't like we had to design plays for him a lot of the times. There's other players that sometimes you have to design plays for them to make sure that they get their touch. And that every year kind of takes on a life of its own. And so that's something we're going to have to monitor early in the season of who's the ball find naturally, and then who do we have to make sure that we design a few things for early in games to make sure that they get involved and get their touches.
Why in my mind do I think Silas Bolden is that guy that's going to catch a lot of balls that the quarterback's going to have this kind of rapport with and feel good about? That guy is going to be very dependable. He may not be, and I can't even say the words, he may not be the fastest guy, because that guy was one of the pretty good punt returner last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've seen him do some special things. But why do I think he's going to be that guy that's a 3rd down and 6? I'm going there. He's going to be right where he's supposed to be. I'm just going to throw it. So let's get the first down. I'll worry about getting the other guys the ball later on.
Why do you think he's the guy?
I just think he's that guy.
Well, he led Oregon State in receptions and receiving yards a season ago.
Okay.
That was a good Oregon State team that won double-digit games and competed for the Pac-12 championship last season. So, yes, Silas Bolden's been there, done that. Obviously his first game as a Longhorn, but that guy, you get the ball in his hands and good things happen. He's only 5'8", 160. That's the only reason why he started his career at Oregon State and didn't start at like Texas or Georgia or Alabama or something like that. That guy put up numbers. Hell, he would have stayed at Oregon State if it weren't for his coach leaving to take the job at Michigan State. He leaves. Silas hits the portal. Texas is lucky enough to get him. I'm with you. I think he's one of those guys that the ball is just going to find him. And even though he wasn't here for the spring, it sounds like he and Quinn Ewers built instant rapport.
Catch.
Playing some catch in the summer and then fall practice. So I like that pick. I like Silas Bolden as well. I'll give my offensive player of the game prediction in a moment, but we got to go to our, I don't even know what we're calling our pregame show guest line today, but we're bringing on an old friend.
Yes.
A guy who's been a part of pregame shows that you and I have done for a very long time. He's now got a new gig at A2ZSports.com. Longtime Texas Longhorns beat reporter for the Austin American-Statesman. Our man Brian Davis is with us. What's up, BD?
What's up, boys? How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. It is good to hear your voice.
Well, I appreciate that, Buck. I mean, it's great to see y'all. Looking at this. This is the new wave of technology here in the 21st century. We're all on the interwebs, the World Wide Web. Let
me just say this to you, Brian. I still get the Austin American-Statesman hard copy 3 times a week. I mean, let me tell you, it's the new wave, but I still do some old things the old ways. Yeah, I'm still burning down trees. Yes.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad you're reading last week's news. That's good.
And BK knows because that's what I always say.
Spoken like a former statesman writer right there.
Great.
Hey, Brian, I canceled as soon as you left.
There you go. I appreciate that.
Before we start asking you about the team, tell us about your new gig, man. We've obviously been a fan of your work. Texas fans have known you for years. This new opportunity with A to Z Sports, it's great to have you back on the Longhorn beat. Tell us about everything that you have going on.
Yeah, absolutely. A to Z Sports is mostly it's an NFL-driven website where you can read coverage of every single NFL team. They're expanding into college coverage. It was just kind of a natural fit for me to join them. They wanted me to help them get their college coverage off the ground. I'm very proud to do it. It's just if you just go to the site, you will read. I mean, I don't want to use the cliche of A to Z, but that's because it's named after their founders, Austin and Zach. That's where the name comes from. But, I'm just over there doing my thing. So if you enjoyed what I did for the Austin American-Statesman, come see me at A2ZSports.com. We'll have everything you want. And the best thing, Buck, it's free. Free. If it's free, if it's for me, and I know if it's free, it's for you as well. No subscription needed. No subscription needed to read the same thing I've been doing for years.
Well, it is good to hear your voice. And tell us your thoughts on Longhorn football. I mean, we didn't get a chance to talk too much last year. But at the ending of the football season, the secondary and how we thought it held them back, but also the progress of Quinn Ewers and what we saw from Quinn Ewers last year.
Can you hear him? Brian, we can't hear you. I don't know what happens.
You guys got me?
Now we got you. There you go.
There you go. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. You look at. Let's go back 2 years ago, Buck. You know how they had 8-win season, but there were a lot of close games decided in the fourth quarter, decided on the last play. That was a team that was learning how to win. And then we saw last year, bang, just go to another level, just hockey stick up. I think we're going to see more of that this year. A team that not only they just have the confidence and swagger, not cockiness. I think Sark is very good about not letting them get cocky, but they're going to go out there expecting to win by double digits, expecting to cover, things like that. Yes, it's the SEC. I know this new challenges, blah, blah, blah. And November is going to be tough. I'm not going to dispute that November will be tough. Florida, Kentucky, A&M, et cetera. But, I mean, to me, they still look like a 10-win team that should comfortably slide into the CFP.
Brian, you talk about expectations. What about your expectations for Quinn Ewers going into his 3rd year as the starting quarterback for the University of Texas? Pretty rocky year 1, but took some major strides in year 2. He's a Heisman contender. He's a potential first-round pick in next year's NFL draft. What are your expectations for QB1 going into his 3rd season?
Well, I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Quinn Ewers is the unquestioned face of the program right now. And, it's been a long time, a very long time, since we have been able to say that with real authority. I mean, obviously, Sam Ehlinger was the last guy who kind of held sort of that title of face of the program. But we went all through the 2010s, and it was rough. It was rough there for a while. I mean, the 18-wheeler, great guy, not a face of the program. Okay, Quinn Ewers, face of the whole thing, right? NIL and otherwise. But I expect Quinn to have, just a tremendous year with this offense. When you look at the receivers that they have, I was just looking at the depth chart that Texas released earlier today. Golden, Moore, Bond, Wingo, Cook, Niblett, Parker Livingstone. I mean, there's a ton of targets out there. Hopefully that sort of masks a little bit of the depth issues at running back. But I still think Sark is going to strive to be balanced. I do not think that Texas is going to all of a sudden become this crazy, one-way passing team without running it. Sark's going to run it as much as he can.
Brian, he still can. But if anything happens any further with that running back position, this is about to be a 5-wide group that's going to throw it all over the yard. That's going to be the way they can win it. I like Jaden Blue. I love the way he played last year. I think he showed a lot. I think he's over 1,000-yard type of back if he can stay healthy. I mean, and I'm talking about if he stays healthy, that means he plays in all the games throughout the entire season. This is going to be a long college football season for him. So if he does stay healthy, I see him as being 1,300-yard type of kid. We don't know what the other kid is all about. We don't know what Trey Wiseman. We hear an awful lot about. I've been hearing about him for 2 years. I've never really seen him really play at a level against real live competition. And so that's a big step until we see what he's like. Going from one guy to the next is a huge step back right now until we see him. Now, he may be the greatest. He may be Ricky Williams incarnate. I don't know. But, who knows what it is because we've never seen him at this level. But as of now, they can't afford to get anybody else hurt because this changes the whole thing of this team. If something were to happen to the next starter and that becomes your starter, believe me, he's not going to be this won't be a balanced offense anymore. It'll be a throwing offense just about every down. And now you're going to have to depend on a guy who's making $10 million a year to call some incredible plays when you can't run the football.
Well, but that's why you get the big government dollars. Let's just say it like that, right? But I will say this, Buck. I don't think enough people I want to build on what you just said there. Enough people are not really contemplating how long this season is going to be, right? When you think of 12 games, SEC, Texas thinks they're going to be in the SEC championship. Okay, then you're potentially playing 3 rounds. In the playoffs. I mean, that is an incredibly long season in the most physical conference in America. And I think that, Jaden Blue, man, you knock on anything you got. He's got to stay healthy. You're exactly right, but he's got to stay in the games and play in the games because they're just really thin now. Because losing Baxter was big, but when you're losing Christian Clark, now you're down 2 guys. That's not good.
Expect by the way, your Gibson, the freshman, he has to get to be a grown man in a hurry. He doesn't get to grow up next year when it's his time to start playing. He has to be ready to play next week.
Yep.
This game, you got to find out what he's all about.
I mean, the only thing I'll say to that is that fortunately Texas has 4 of their 5 starters coming back up front. They've got an NFL stud in Kelvin Banks. I like Hayden, Connor, Jake Majors, DJ Campbell, Cam Williams. I mean, look, these are all kind of household names to Texas fans by this point, right? If you'd have told me that they were going to lose Baxter and Christian Clark, and by the way, it's a whole new offensive line, I think that would be a hard road to go. But they have a tremendous, tremendous offensive line that is going to be a legit Joe Murrow Award candidate, at the end of the year. You've got an excellent trigger man in the quarterback, tons of receivers. I mean, there's a lot to like, in my opinion, despite having lost C.J. Baxter.
Yes, indeed. Brian Davis from A to Z Sports.com joining us here on our Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. Going over to the defensive side of the ball, Brian, what about the secondary, right? I mean, that was maybe the biggest weakness of this Texas team in 2023. Kind of a miracle that they got as far as they got, despite how bad their secondary was at times. The coaches stay, but a lot of personnel changes. What's your confidence level in this Texas pass defense taking a big step in 2024?
Well, I think it's really interesting how, both in the during the talking season in the summer and in a little bit of the preseason, there was a little bit of a revisionist history going on. It's like, well, we gave up this many passing yards, but the defensive line kind of missed the tackles. Then we missed some guys in space, and the linebackers. Well, hey, it doesn't matter. That's all pass defense. It doesn't matter. Whether you want to blame tackling or you want to blame guys getting beat over the top. So obviously, what did Sark do? Went to the transfer portal, picked up a corner from San Jose State, picked up the transfer from Clemson. I mean, look, they had, to me, that's what the portal is supposed to be. Go get better at where you have problems, right? So now you look at there, Malik Muhammad, Jahdae Barron. Those are the 2 starting corners that we're going to see today. Michael Taft and Andrew Makubu. I mean, I want to see them, like we've always talked about, if you're going to let, especially today against an air raid offense, those guys are going to spread you out. How do you beat the air raid system? You let them catch the ball, you wrap up and get them to the ground, right? I mean, because what we saw with years and years and years of Mike Leach and Art Briles, you run out of real estate as you get towards the end zone. That back end zone line is a 12th defender that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's how you suffocate the air raid. The guys up front, if this is a true air raid system that in Colorado State, if they're doing it correctly, the ball should be out of the quarterback's hands pretty quick, right? So it's going to be hard for me to see, the Sorrells of the world, the Bill Nortons, Vernon Broughtons, all those guys. It's going to be hard to see a lot of sacks and quarterback pressures today, but it's going to be on the back end. I think we're going to know real quick. I give it one half. We'll know in one half whether this defense has improved in the secondary.
Yeah, but the one thing that they do have in their favor is we know they're going to throw Brian for sure, but can they run the ball? Will this group that they're playing today at Colorado State be able to run? They averaged 3.3 last year, and this is a tough group to run against. Now you've lost your defensive line coach, so now you've got a new defensive line coach. You still have your coordinators around, but boy, this is a little different defense up front, and especially when you lose your defensive line coach. He was a good one. He coached two guys right into the NFL pretty quickly.
I mean, I thought the Brinks truck backed up for everybody around here, but apparently it doesn't, right? Apparently there are limits to who gets the Brinks truck around here, right? No, you're exactly right. I mean, to me, I look at those defensive tackles, and Buck, we sat outside that stadium. We've talked about, well, maybe this will be the week Alfred Collins shines. This will be the week Vernon Broughton does their thing, right? Hey man, those guys. Hey guys, you're out of time. It's now or never, right? It truly is now or never. You guys have to step up and assert yourselves and stop the run, because the thing is, all three of us know there's going to be some incredibly tougher challenges ahead than Colorado State, right? So get out there, get your feet wet. Baron Sorrell, Ethan Burke, go get after it. AC, make it happen up front. Vernon, Norton. I mean, all these guys. Trey Moore on the other side. Let's see something there. I mean, I think that group up front has something to prove, because everyone's going to be saying the same thing that you guys are saying. Oh no, Byron Murphy. Oh no, Tavondre Sweat. Oh no, go get it. Go get it.
Yep, absolutely. Brian, great stuff, man. Really enjoyed catching up. We will encourage folks to head over to A2ZSports.com to read all of your coverage for Texas Longhorn football all season long. But happy to have you back on the beat, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
Good to talk to you guys as well. BK, I'm glad you're keeping Bucky upright. That's good. That's a positive. That's a positive.
He might be keeping me upright, Brian, but we're happy to be working
Thanks,
together,
buddy.
man, and happy to have
Appreciate
you on
you
with
guys.
us.
Good to see y'all.
You too. All right, there he goes. Brian Davis, longtime statesman
Absolutely.
reporter, now with A2ZSports.com. And how about that? It's free. Just like us, this is free.
Free.
You don't have to pay to listen to us. Now you don't have to pay to read Brian's great columns over at A2ZSports.com.
Love it.
All right. Let me give my offensive player of the game prediction. Brought to you by our friends at Verde's Mexican Parrilla. So we've got a depth chart now for Texas football.
It's out.
It's out. It came out today. It was in, I guess, the media guide that the media got as they made their way into DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. Everyone knows who the starting quarterback is.
Yes.
Everyone knows who the starting running back is.
Gotcha.
Everyone was curious to see who the starting wide receivers, plural, were going to be. And the three wide receivers who are listed at the top of the Texas depth chart: Matthew Golden at Z, Isaiah Bond at X, DeAndre Moore in the slot at H. DeAndre Moore is going to be my offensive player of the game prediction.
Yeah, I mean, that once again, there's a young man who's been on this campus, didn't come through the transfer portal. He's been here. He's recruited here. Let's find out what he's all about.
Yep.
I mean, if he was good enough to get a scholarship to go to Texas, he'd be good enough to play in his, third year now?
Second year.
Second year. In his second year at that position, at a skill position, it's time. And obviously he's done some really good things, because if he's on the starting team, he's beat out a couple pretty good players at that position. They've got 4 or 5 guys that are, including a fantastic freshman.
I promised DeAndre Moore was going to be my pick before the depth chart came out. But
Yes, you did.
I feel even better about that pick now. And man, DeAndre Moore's been getting a lot of Jordan Whittington comparisons, in part because of his style of play, but also in part because of his work ethic. Like, he is first guy in the building every day and last guy to leave every day.
That's great
like,
news.
That guy realizes, all right, well, my coach brought in 3 receivers from the transfer portal, and we just signed a 5-star, one of the top 10 players in
I'm
the
not
country.
really all that happy about that.
Like, I better do something to make sure I get to play this season. And it sounds like DeAndre Moore has done everything in his power to ensure that he's in the good graces of his coaches. Well, it takes more than that. Well, I keep hearing from Chip Brown and all of the other insiders who cover this team that DeAndre Moore has built an incredible chemistry with Quinn Ewers. And those guys have been in sync, and they've gotten more in sync as fall camp has progressed. So everyone's talking about Isaiah Bond. Everyone's talking about Silas Bolden and Matthew Golden and Jonte Cook and Ryan Wingo. I'm not saying you shouldn't be talking about those guys, but it kind of feels like the forgotten man of those top 6 receivers at Texas is DeAndre Moore. Don't sleep on number 0. I think that guy's going to make some things happen today that leads us to believe that he's going to be a big part of this offense all season long.
Yeah, and that is absolutely good to hear. He and Niblett, I mean, those are guys that have been here, so their time has now come. And so if you once again, if you're good enough to get a scholarship here, you're good enough to play here.
Yep.
And you're good enough to play here even despite them going in the transfer portal and bringing really good players in here, because they're not bringing, once again, the transfer portal for Texas right now is not to build depth. It's to bring in players that can absolutely play. And those guys that are coming here can play. But if you're one of the guys that came up through this system and you're good enough, it's now your time to shine.
Absolutely. DeAndre Moore going into his 2nd year from St. John Bosco in California.
It's awesome.
Once again, not the most heralded recruit coming out of high school, but a guy who's done seemingly everything he can to work his way up the depth chart. And it's cool to see that he is listed as a starter. So you assume he'll be one of the first guys on the field whenever the Texas offense takes
How
the
excited
field.
would he be? I mean, you're talking about exciting.
Yep.
After playing here last year and seeing the receivers that left here, headed off to the NFL, he has got to be excited that, you know what, I'm one of the gang now.
So you went with Quinn Ewers, soft. Nice cop-out pick there. Going with the quarterback as the offensive player of the game. Original stuff
as he throws
there,
for 800 today.
Yeah, I'm going with the receiver with 0 career catches. I'm going bold here. You're going with the Heisman contender.
Would you want me to take Trey Wisner?
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been a little off the beaten path.
No, not doing that.
Well, that's fair.
I'm going wintertime. And this guy who's leading this team, as Brian Davis said, the undisputed head of this of this football team, he has to get off to a good start, even against this quality of opponent.
Hey, if you want to be a winner, go to Verde's Mexican Parrilla.
Oh, man.
That place is fantastic. Located on Hamilton Pool Road off of 71, Verde's Mexican Parrilla is serving up an extensive menu of all of your traditional Mexican and Tex-Mex favorites. Plus, they got that pork chop that is to die for. Had one of those last week. I want one every single day of my life.
That was that good,
It was that good. It was that good. They've got everything you want. A beautiful indoor dining area that makes for a great date night.
Nice patio, too.
Absolutely. The covered patio with a ton of space for the whole family. It's a great place to dine in, great place to take out. They can host your party. They can cater your next event as well. And how about this? Our friends at Verde's are hooking you up. Next time you're there, mention Texas Sports Unfiltered. You're going to get a free appetizer. Just like that.
Really nice.
All you have to do is say you heard about them from us, and they're going to give you a free appetizer. Some of their great queso. They got a ton of great apps.
Love
there
the queso.
at Verde's. Go see them. And, oh, by the way, a season-long giveaway that we're doing. So if you can't make it to Scholz today, get by here for any of our home pregame show broadcasts.
Which we will be here.
Or go to Shoal Creek, which is where we'll be for our road broadcast, including next week against Michigan. Chef Cody, for one grand prize winner, is going to go to your house and cook up a meal for 8 people. How about that?
Is he the same chef that cooked for me at the Austin Diner, my chef?
No, this guy's a real chef.
Oh, okay.
Who's actually going to show up to work on time and cook you up some great food. That's the grand prize. So we'll be taking entrance all year long. You have to sign up in person at either Scholz Garten for a home game or Shoal Creek Saloon for a road game. But sign up for that. Your chance to win a meal for 8 cooked at your place by Chef Cody and the gang at Verde's.
Thank you to Verde's.
Yes.
I love that place.
Great spot. They are the sponsor for our offensive player of the game.
And once again, big shout out to Covert BK and 34 Wine and Spirits for being our title sponsor for our pregame show.
Yes.
Nothing better than the folks out at Covert where we were yesterday, and nothing better than 34 Wine and Spirits, which I made the first delivery of the SEC right here this morning to Scholz Creek. I mean, to our folks at Scholz's. I brought in the case today.
The booze guy.
Yeah, the booze guy.
The sober booze dealer.
Brought it in from 34 Wine and Spirits. They needed to have a delivery done this morning. Guess who got it done? That's right.
Well done, my friend. Yep, many thanks to Covert BK and 34 Wine and Spirits. Come next week, we're going to have a badass banner.
Oh, yeah.
With their logos behind us. So looking forward to that.
And that will be early next week, by the way.
Bright and early, yes. Big noon kickoff.
Shrimp and grits.
Yep, which means big 11 a.m. kickoff here in Austin. We'll be at Shoal Creek Saloon next Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10:30, getting you set for what should be a top 10 matchup between the Longhorns and the Michigan Wolverines. One final scoreboard update on today's show. Once again, these are brought to you by Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Some updates. Early fourth quarter in Atlanta. Georgia 20, Clemson 3. So the Tigers are on the board, but they're in a world of hurt right now, trailing by 17 in the early stages of the fourth quarter. It looks like the top-ranked team in the land is going to remain the top-ranked team in the land. How about a weather delay? Just what we need. More time for the couch burners in Morgantown to burn more couches and drink more moonshine. We are delayed at West Virginia. Penn State leading the Mountaineers 20-6.
My poor niece is there in her freshman year. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we got a rain delay there. Some guy came up to you. I'm not.
I think Earl is here.
Is that a mime? Oh, Earl Campbell's here.
Yeah, Earl's here. He has come into the building, so he's signing autographs. And
there he is.
He is here. Yes,
the legendary lifetime Longhorn, Earl Campbell. Sitting about 100 feet away from us.
Yes.
NFL Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer. Hell, the damn field is named after him.
He is here every home game here.
And right across from where we are. So you get to come see us, more importantly. And then you get to go see Earl Campbell. Great guy. And, he'll be here at Scholz Garten for every home game, hanging out with us. Hopefully we get him on the show at some point this
Absolutely.
season. That'd be a fun conversation to have. Iowa scored 26 points. Sound the alarms. Iowa leads Illinois State 26-0. Vanderbilt over Virginia Tech 20-13. That game at the end of the third quarter. And then we've reached halftime in Knoxville. Number 15 Tennessee on top of Chattanooga 45-0.
What a drubbing that is.
Oklahoma State, former Big 12 foe, they are underway in Stillwater, taking on the reigning FCS champs. A lot of people were thinking the Cowpokes were on upset alert going into this one. End of the first quarter, Oklahoma State looking good. They're up 10-0. South Dakota State is driving right now. They've got the ball at the Cowboys' 30-yard line, but that's kind of an interesting, maybe under-the-radar game to look out for. And some games later today at 2:30. Same time Texas and Colorado State kick off. Number 19, Miami at Florida.
My ACC champs.
I'm pretty sure you had a 5,000-unit play on the Hurricanes yesterday.
Yes, I did.
Still feeling good about the U?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's your game at 2:30, and then a couple of big games tonight. It's all about the cameras that way, but we appreciate that.
Sorry.
The biggest game of the weekend in Aggieland, that's where College Game Day was. It's Notre Dame, the 7th-ranked team in the land, traveling to Kyle Field to take on 20th-ranked Texas A&M. The Aggies 3-point favorites. You're still feeling Notre Dame tonight?
I'm still feeling Notre Dame. I do not want to feel Notre Dame, believe me.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. This is two teams that, as you said, maybe the stadium should blow up or something, but why do you have to pick someone to win? Can't they both lose? They can't lose anymore. There can't be 0-0 in college football.
You can blow up Kyle Field if you want.
My goodness.
You've got about 5 hours to get there before kickoff if you want to make something happen.
This is the first time I'll ever take Notre Dame and the last time. I'll never do this again.
I'll be rooting for the blue and gold tonight. The Golden Domers all on the road in College Station.
Because you'll never root for A&M.
No, I'll never root for A&M. Like against Oklahoma, maybe. That's a real one where you want a bomb to explode whatever stage you're playing in. But yeah, no, I don't like Notre Dame. But
I'm rooting for Notre Dame. That is going to hurt so bad.
They're the lesser of two evils, if you ask me. So there's our final scoreboard update brought to you by our friends once again at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. All right, back into this game today. Texas and Colorado State. Once again, the Longhorns are 34-point favorites. So I'm going to go back to this depth chart here. Do you care? Do you put any stock into which receivers are starting for this Texas team? Or do you expect to see just so much rotation today that it's not really going to matter who's on the field?
I expect to see all the wide receivers play for sure. I expect to see all the wide receivers and all the tight ends play, as a matter of fact. We haven't said much about the tight end play.
Yeah.
But I expect to see all the different tight ends get an opportunity to play because we don't know what the tight end position is going to be like. Now, I know what to expect from Gunnar Helm. I know he'll get open and he'll catch a big catch, all of 14 that he caught last year, I believe. But is there going to be somebody with a real starting role here to catch his 34 or 35 balls this season? I don't think so. I don't think that's the way they're going to use the tight end. The tight end is primarily, to me, in this offense right now. I even thought that last year. The kid that had Sanders is a blocking tight end. Somebody's going to be doing an awful lot of blocking. Gunnar Helm and the rest of them get used to it. Every once in a while, you may catch a pass, but you're not catching 30 balls in this offense.
We'll see. And I wanted to know what the tight end depth chart looked like. And Gunnar Helm is listed as the starter.
Yes, I would expect that.
And then you've got an or between Juan Davis and Amari Nyblack as your number 2 tight end.
Which means, no, they're not catching 40 balls here.
Juan Davis has been here for a couple of years. He's actually going into his 4th year on campus. Amari Nyblack, obviously the Alabama transfer. So, you don't have a Jatavion Sanders. Whether or not you feel like he was underutilized in this offense the last couple of years, you knew what he was.
Right.
5-star out of high school, one of the best tight ends in college football. You don't really know what you have this year. Gunnar Helm, the most production for anybody coming back to Texas, 14 catches and a couple of touchdowns in 2023. Amari Nyblack had 4 touchdowns at Alabama last year, had 2 against Texas in that Longhorns road win in Tuscaloosa. So you've got guys with college experience, but we're not entirely sure what the rotation is going to look like.
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking more that Nyblack's going to be the guy. Sark understands if he can score at Alabama, he can do some things here for him.
Yeah,
but they also had a tight end here before from Alabama.
Right.
That I don't recall him doing very much.
Jaleel Billingsley. Yeah, different story here. But Amari Nyblack's more of a receiving threat and less of a blocking threat. So if Steve Sarkeesian's going to value run blocking from his number 1 tight end, then you're not going to see a whole lot of
there'll be another
Nyblack.
wide receiver in the group.
Yeah, he'll be flexed out from time to time as another pass-catching threat. He's a big body, big target, somebody who can hopefully help this offense in the red zone. That's where I want to go next, Buck. That's another thing that I want to see today. Yes, it's Colorado State. There's always that caveat, right? Texas can win 52-10. They can cover the line. They can do just about everything right, and people will still say, but it's Colorado State. Show me something against somebody else. Well, today we're only playing Colorado State. This is the only team that you get to play. This was one of the worst red zone offenses in the country. They scored touchdowns on 50% of their red zone drives last year. That was in the 120s out of the 133 teams in Division I FBS college football. I don't care that it's CSU. I don't care how average their defense was. When Texas gets inside the 20, we need 7 instead of 3.
Wait a minute. You got your all-SEC kicker. I mean, don't you want to use your weapon?
Yeah, for extra points.
Okay, extra points only.
If you need a 55-yarder before halftime, sign me up. I'll take a
Get your
Bert
position for a 55-yarder.
Yeah, that's fine. Quick 45-second drill. You move the ball from your own 25 to their, 38, 39-yard line.
Sure.
And you bring him out there. Sure. Sideshow Bert, Carrot Top, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, sign me up. But that's it. I want to see extra points, not field goals today.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This team needs to score in the scoring zone. In the red zone, they need to put points on the board. They need to put 6 up there immediately and not screw around with this. And will they run the ball today, BK? Yes, they will run the ball. The Longhorns will run the ball. They need to find out. And plus, this is about giving the team confidence. This run game, which will be a part of my 3 keys. It's not about today. It's about to give the team confidence of what's going to happen in the future with the run game. No, we're not afraid to run it with our second string. No, we're not afraid to run it with our incoming freshmen. We're good on the offensive line. We have to do this. This isn't about a game. This is about a football season right now, and we can't get away from what we do and what we've been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And in order to make this, this defense, this offense a balanced type of offense. You can't all of a sudden panic, start throwing the ball all around the place. Now we get somebody else hurt, we may have to panic and throw it all over the place.
I'll knock on wood.
But until that happens, we still have to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested in seeing this group get into the scoring zone, get to the 3-4 yard line, and not have to bring in a big fatty. Don't want to see any fatties from the defense in there.
Big fatty's not here anymore.
Man, there's one 300-pounder. I saw one guy at 307.
Oh, a different big fatty.
Yeah.
Not the big fatty.
No, I don't want to see the guys that are 380. Poor Bills.
Devontae Sweat.
Yeah, I don't want to see the poor Bill guys in there. I want to see a run game with an effective offensive line that's a bunch of 3-year starters move the ball 3 and 4 yards, and especially down towards the end zone. run the ball in.
If T Sweat's at this game, everyone at DKR is going to feel it. The whole stadium's going to be shaking when that guy walks in. You know that. Let's hear one from Steve Sarkeesian before we get to the Bucs' 3 keys to victory. Let's hear from Coach Sark. He was asked about the red zone offense and how Texas improves that in 2024.
We have to do a better job of not stubbing our own toe in the red area. False starts, penalties, negative plays. You know, our efficiency rate in the red area is drastically improved when we just continue to move the ball forward. And so that's the first part that we've made a huge point of emphasis on, of having the right mental intensity when we get into those situations to really play clean football and execute what we're trying to get done. Now, when it comes down to the red area, sometimes it's making the right call at the right time. Sometimes it comes down to making a play. Sometimes it comes down to the runner making that last guy miss that tackle. There's always kind of that extra hat the closer to the end zone you get. You're going to have to make some contested catches. The field shrinks there. But I do have confidence in our players' ability to go do that. I think we've got great schemes. Now we have to go do it.
Yeah, and Coach, I believe in you and your schemes. So
yeah,
you've got good enough players to do it, but you're going to have to scheme some things with some different runners. You may not get the success you're expecting to get early. In this game, you should. Against this opponent, yes.
Yep.
Next week, maybe not. You're going to have to go into next week's game. Hate to talk about next week, but you're going to have to go into next week's game with some different things in the run game, because your regular schemes with these runners, that's not going to be the same.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. So you're going to have. But today, the things that you do and the things you've been doing good throughout the last couple of years, you do that today. Yeah. You don't get too fancy here.
No, you don't have to.
You don't fancy up your Hat Creek burger today, my friend. There's no reason to fancy it up. Just get cheese, get the tomato on it, get mustard, ketchup. Yep. You know, if you like lettuce, put it on there, but don't add any pickles or any of that. You know what I'm saying?
None of that extra stuff.
No jalapenos necessary.
No bacon.
No
grilled
bacon,
onions. No
nothing.
jalapenos.
No, just don't fancy it up. There's no reason to do that today.
You shouldn't have to. And when your red zone offense is 120th in the country, there's ways for everybody to get better. You need the coach to be better. You need the quarterback to be better. You need the offensive line to be better. Texas has everything it needs to be a lot better as a red zone offense. There is no excuse with all the talent and experience on this offensive line, with a 3-year starter at quarterback, with all of the weapons Texas has on the outside. This should be, I'm saying top 50 with the secondary. This needs to be way better than top 50. This should be one of the best red zone offenses in the country.
You're absolutely right with this offensive line. You're right. And if Blue is healthy, he's got power. He's got enough power. And now that you talk about Trey Wisner, if he's a thumper, this may be his specialty. This short yardage goal line stuff may be his specialty. So it's going to be interesting to see. And that starts today.
It does.
That's an awful lot of fun to see for me.
Absolutely. I just saw a guy wearing a Texas shirt and a Colorado hat. So
very nice.
Double anti-Colorado State today. He's rocking the CU Buffs hat.
Very disturbing, isn't it?
And he's rocking the Texas shirt. We got some Colorado State fans in the building.
Love it.
We've seen a little bit of green walking around Austin today.
And this ain't the mean green.
This ain't the mean green. It's very nice.
It's the Rams.
What do y'all do? Is this the Rams bit? It's like a hook 'em horns, but they've got their fingers curled up like Rams horns.
It's awful good to see that you don't do the horns down deal. Thank you very much. We do appreciate that here in Austin.
That woman heard you, and she's like, no, I'm going to do it. The woman behind the speaker,
she just had to do it.
Oh, right after you said it. Right after you said it. She's
Come on.
Hey, I have a question for the CSU fans. Who scores more points, the Texas offense today or Colorado State in the NCAA tournament loss to Texas? Who do you think scores more points? Do we know?
See.
We know about that? What did you guys get? Y'all crack 40 in that game? I can't remember.
They're an up-and-coming program in hoops.
Yeah, sure. They've been up-and-coming in a lot of sports for a long time. But, hey, we're happy with CSU. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being good sport. There's the horns down on the
horns down
son
on
of
the
a
way
bitch.
out.
He got me. Oh, man. All right, we've got about 10 minutes left. We have a lot to get into. We'll do your 3 keys to victory here first. Then we're going to announce our winner for the free pair of Ariat boots and denim that we're giving away.
Nice.
Intern
And
Brock.
thank you to Cavenders.
Thank you to Cavenders for
Ariat
their help.
boots. Oh, yeah.
We'll have boots, denim, and or cowboy hats to give away at every single one of these live broadcasts. So if you don't win today, or if you couldn't make it out here today,
we'll see you next week for the hat.
Next week at Shoal Creek for the hat, and every home game here at Scholz Garten. We're going to be giving all sorts of things away all season long. So we'll do that drawing for that, and then we'll give our game score prediction, all of that before we wrap up at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. But first, Buck, your 3 keys to victory brought to you by Hat Creek Burgers.
Speaking about burgers, no better burger in this town and in this area than that Hat Creek burger. And, dude, they have breakfast, too.
Yeah, they do.
They're into breakfast. And I'm into breakfast there, too. Check out the locations and find out at 8 o'clock in the morning, or they open just for you at Hat Creek Burgers, where you can get sausage, bacon, taters, tomatoes, cheese, avocado, you name it.
Oh.
They've got it. That's what I'm talking about. Look at there, you guys. There's a Hat Creek Burger breakfast guy. Loving it.
Yep.
But Hat Creek Burgers, that's fantastic. Hey, and you got to love those shakes at Hat Creek Burgers, too. They've got them all. Check them out online at hatcreekburger.com. 3 keys to victory. First of all, got to establish the run, as I said before, with Blue and Wisner. Find out what those guys can do right now. You don't want to get away from what you've done over the last 3 years. Sark is not going to do that today. It's not going to be just throwing it air raid versus air raid. You got to establish this, and this is not establishing it for a game. This is establishing the run for your football season, no matter who your running back is. That includes Gibson. So that's number 1 to me. Number 2 is to protect Quinn Ewers. They know that Texas wants to get Quinn Ewers off to a good start. He's got new wide receivers. So this offensive line is one of the best in the nation. You have to protect him. The offensive line, this is everybody's job for quarterback protection, BK. It's the running back's job. The Rams are going to come after Quinn Ewers. They're not going to sit back and play passive defense. They can't afford to do that. They're going to find out if your new young running backs can protect the quarterback. Do they know about blitz pickup? They're going to find out today, because they're going to bring some guys and see if they're ready to stick their face in there and make some plays. So that's number 2, is to protect your quarterback for sure. Number 3 is to attack their quarterback. You don't have to worry about attacking their run game. Their run game got attacked when they get off the bus. They're not going anywhere in the run
They'll
game.
attack themselves.
They'll attack themselves
Yep.
coming off the bus. So you don't have to worry about stopping their run game, but you have to attack their quarterback, which means make it comfortable. You know, Brian Davis talked about quick 3-step drop, air raid offense. They're not going to sit back, 7-step drop, hold on to the ball, pat the ball, and pat the ball. They won't have time to do that. But you still have to attack them with upfront pressure in the middle and outside. When you do get a chance, when the kid thinks he can pat the ball, 1,001, you got to come on the outside and make the sack. So you do have to pressure their quarterback, and those are my 3 keys to victory. But definitely you have to protect Quinn Ewers. They can't just let him sit back and find out who his new great receivers are.
Now you got to protect Quinn Ewers, because he's your most important player this season. I know everyone is excited about the future of Texas football
that dude
with Arch Manning, but yeah, you want to protect Quinn Ewers, your Heisman candidate, your first-round pick candidate. Texas is going to go as far as Quinn Ewers takes them
for sure
this season. So don't get him hurt in game 1. Keep him upright. Hopefully he's only on the field for like 2.5 quarters.
For
Texas
sure.
has built a comfortable enough lead to where we can see Arch Manning and maybe even Trey Owens later in the game as well.
That'd be an awful lot of fun.
But you're right. You've got a great offensive line. Protect Quinn Ewers. And, oh, by the way, remember, Quinn, from his first to his second year, he dropped 15 pounds in an effort to get more mobile. And we saw his legs.
And speaking of the guy who helps the run game.
Yeah, absolutely. But Quinn Ewers added 15 pounds of muscle. He doesn't look pudgy like he did in his first year in Austin.
Round-shouldered.
He added some muscle this year to try to be more durable. Remember, he's missed multiple games in his 2 years in Austin. He doesn't want to miss any more time. So with this offensive line, with the fact that he's put on 15 pounds, hopefully that is going to keep QB1 upright all season long. But yeah, you don't want him to get hurt in any game. You sure as hell don't want him to get hurt with that game at Michigan coming up next week, going up against one of the best defenses in college football. All right, we've got 6 minutes left. Before we get to our game score prediction, we're going to do our live drawing for the pair of Ariat boots and denim that we're going to be giving away. So you had to be here to sign up. You obviously don't have to be here to win. Some folks have already made their way towards DKR for kickoff, which is just over 30 minutes away from now. Intern Brock, get over here. Hey, Brock.
Get your hands in here.
We're putting a headset on you. You're going to do this. You're in charge since you have been taking all of these raffle tickets all day long. So we're going to reward you for your hard work.
Yeah.
Y'all did pretty well. We got a lot in here.
And once again, thank you to Cavenders and the folks at Ariat for getting us those boots and those denim jeans.
Look who it is.
Yes.
Are we allowed to mention this guy's name?
Of course you are.
I'm not mentioning his name. I don't like him enough to do that. He doesn't return my calls. He doesn't return my texts. I don't know. Hey, do you want to sign up real quick? Like right now, 20 seconds. Name and number. That guy's not winning. Do the drawing without him.
Go ahead.
We'll just pretend like we haven't done it when he comes back over here.
I can't read that. What does
Can't-
that say?
Oh, see, I hate it, non-baby can't read.
That's a good start right there.
Bo.
Oh, boy. Is that it? It looks like Johnny, right? Johnee. We're going
Or
Johnny.
Joanne.
That is a V.
Joanne. That's a V. Vonnie.
Dude, that looks like.
That look. I mean, that's it's not good handwriting. Should we?
But we do have a number.
Almost want to disqualify them for some. We even,
For penmanship.
boy, we have an email address. We don't have a phone number.
Oh God.
I don't know if we can read that email address. What do we do?
Throw it back in the can.
Yeah.
All right.
draw another
So,
one?
yeah, we're drawing it. Here's your chance. You get in. It's already in there. All right.
There it is.
All right.
There it is. We got a couple more.
Is he allowed to win? Former coworker, can he win? Oh,
Of course.
the lady can win.
Yes.
The lady can win. All right, that's fine. Wow. If this Johnny Fuller Corn
Dude, that
Fuller
says
Farm Vonnie, if they reach out, if they hear this, we'll get them something.
Okay.
They're not winning the
that's
boots
fair.
because their handwriting
We
sucks.
do
too
have some
much.
koozies.
But we'll give them a gift card to some, or her a gift card to somewhere. All right, number 2. Drawing number 2. Who we got, Brock?
Zach Champion.
Zach Champion.
Zach Champion.
All
Zach
right.
Chambers at the stadium by now, drunk as can be.
There
Thank you,
go.
Zach.
All right, congratulations to Zach. We've got a phone number here, so we will reach out to you if you are not here. If you are here, you can claim your prize right now. But congrats to Zach on winning a free pair of Ariat boots and Ariat denim. Thanks to our friends at Ariat. Don't go anywhere, bro. We're going to let you predict the score of the game, just like last year. So now we get to our final bit here
Yes,
before we
indeed.
wrap things up from Scholz Garten. And thanks again to the great people at Scholz Garten for having us out
Thank you,
today.
Big Dan. Thank you very much, Dan.
Yep, the great Dan Smith, great guy. Come to Scholz Garten today. Come here any day. They're not just open on Saturdays. You can get your beer. You can get your great food. You can watch any game you want all season long.
And have a fine lunch here, too, at Schultz's.
Live music all the time. This is the place to be. Don't forget to say hi to the legendary Earl Campbell, who's at the table next to us. The man, the myth, the legend himself is right here, and he'll be here before every Texas home game as well. All right, guys, the game score prediction brought to you by our friends at Paul's Motorworks. More on them in a moment. Intern Brock, we'll go to you first. What's your score prediction for Texas and Colorado State?
I'm going 59-13 Texas.
59-13.
Okay.
Yes.
So bet the over and bet the Longhorns today.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
I like that. Intern Brock, 59-13. Thank you for your service. Now get out of here.
All right.
You're causing feedback. That's probably us causing feedback. Buck,
I'm going to go 48-14.
Texas or Colorado State?
Texas, of course.
I don't
Yes.
know. I
48-14.
had to ask. You didn't give the team.
Late score by Colorado State.
Late to get to 13.
14.
To
I'm
get to
going
14.
14, yeah.
48-14.
Yes.
I got to look up the score prediction that I had.
With Sideshow Bird still getting 2 field goals in this game.
Okay.
Got to give him some love. The best kicker in the SEC.
If Texas scores 48, I can live with 2 field goals today.
Okay, there you go.
If they get 45 plus, then I'm fine. If some of that 45 plus is coming off of the foot of Bert Auburn, I'm going to go 52-17. Good guys.
Good call.
Texas wins. They cover. They hit the over. Everybody's happy, and we turn the page to Michigan very quickly after this game is over. I think the party at DKR is going to be going on all day long, and I think the party at Scholz Garten will continue into the night as well. All right, shout out to Paul's Motorworks once again for sponsoring our game score prediction. Love Paul's Motorworks. They've been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair in Austin since 2000. They specialize in BMW, Mini Cooper, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, and Porsche.
They work on them all.
But they do more than that. That's where I go to get my oil changed for my car. It's hard to find a reliable, trustworthy car mechanic.
And especially for your car.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not trust your car to anyone. Trust your car to the people that we trust, the great people at Paul's Motorworks. I'm telling you, your search for a good mechanic is over. Paul's Motorworks on 2222, right by 620. That's where you need to go to see him. Check him out online at pmwaustin.com. Once again, pmwaustin.com. And that is going to do it for our first Texas Longhorn pregame show of the season.
Yeah, once again, thank you to Cobra BKs and 34 Wine and Spirits for being our corporate sponsor here. We do appreciate that. Dan Smith and Schultz's for having us here at the legendary Ziggurat Hall.
Absolutely. Had a great time today and look forward to our next 6 broadcasts here. 7 home games for the Longhorns in 2024. We'll be at Scholz Garten before all 7.
And hopefully we could be here for maybe one of those playoff games if we have to be in a playoff game. Wouldn't that be some fun?
If there's a
Can you
playoff game
imagine
here,
that?
oh my God. I'm going to be blackout drunk
That-
on the show for that, for that one.
I was just thinking of that. Woo! What is that going to be like to have? I mean, with this new college football way it is, to be on campus for a playoff game. Is that going to be nuts at places?
I hope we're not, because I hope we get a first round bye, which means we won't have to play an on-campus playoff game. But I'm not going to complain if we're hosting a 5-12 matchup in December.
How cool would that be?
That would be epic. Hey,
Awesome.
by the way, the winner of our Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill gift card, how about Jeff Walker, who commented on YouTube, "I am hungry."
Thank you.
Perfect timing. Well done, Jeff. The randomizer spoke. You are the winner. Hit us up on the Coda text line 512-222-9328, and we will get in contact with you there.
Have fun and get a sober ride home here, you folks.
Absolutely. Thanks to intern Brock. Thanks to intern Brock's girlfriend, Emma. Thanks to, I don't want to call him Crybaby Mason. He's been working for us all day long.
Absolutely. Good
Thanks
job,
to Mason for helping us out at our merch table next door. Thanks to everyone who came by. Thanks to all of our great sponsors who allow us to put this show on the air. Y'all enjoy. Texas and Colorado State kickoff 30 minutes away. Thank you so much for tuning into the TSU pregame show. Zay Collier and I will be doing postgame immediately after this game goes final. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Download the app. You know the deal. We love each and every one of you. For Bucky Godbolt, I am BK Brad Kellner. Special thanks to Rodney Rodriguez handling the app back home. We will see y'all after the game. Cook 'em Horns.